Chapter 15:15. I don't have money, I only have my life too. Hi. If you want to see it, then go ahead. The master of the Ning family sighed and said helplessly, Why is this girl so bad? He even bullied his godfather, Sob. With Master Ning's approval, Lung Ruoxue rudely removed the cloth covering his face. Instantly, a face as swollen as a pig's head was revealed to everyone. Godfather, your face is so swollen, and you still say you're fine? Lung Ruoxue looked in disbelief at her godpa, who was originally extremely handsome, now looked like a pig's head. The difference was too great. I'm really fine. I'll be fine after a few days. The master of the Ning family said disapprovingly. Godfather, what kind of insect bit you? Even though Godfather said that she was fine, Lung Ruoxue was still worried. His face was not bitten by insects. It was stung by a bee. First Elder interjected. Damn old man, will you die if you don't speak? The master of the Ning family saw that the great elder was dragging him down again, and he was very angry. He didn't want his precious daughter to know that he had been stung by the bees because he craved honey. It was too embarrassing. Godfather, how could you be so careless? Lung Ruoxue shook her head in disagreement. However, she did not ask for details, lest her godfather lose face. I was too careless. The master of the Ning family lowered his head in embarrassment. He was too ashamed to see anyone. With such a weakness in the hands of that stinky old man, he would definitely take it out from time to anger him. As soon as he thought of this, he felt extremely depressed in his heart. Why was it that when he was embarrassed, the one by his side was this old fart? Godfather, just eat this. Lung Ruoxue took out an elixir from her bangle and passed it to him. The master of the Ning family quickly took it and put it into his mouth. Soon, he felt that the burning pain on his face had eased a lot, but his face still seemed swollen. Little girl, is my face still swollen? The master of the Ning family touched his face and asked carefully. Godfather, the pill I gave you can't completely cure the bee poison. The rest will be up to you. Lung Ruoxue nodded. After First Elder heard Lung Ruoxue's words, he stood in front of Master Ning and observed his face carefully. He even kept making tsk sounds. He then said, This little girl's medicinal pill is really amazing. It actually removed more than half of the bee poison on this old thing's face. When he and the master of the Ning family were rushing to the main city of the Ning family's divine realm, the master of the Ning family had already taken an antidote pill. However, that medicine was not very effective against the bee's poison. Otherwise, this old thing would not be willing to run back with a pig's face. If the younger generation of his family saw him like this, it would also damage his image as an ancestor. Therefore, they came back sneakily and directly came to this courtyard. You don't need to tell me that. Don't you know who refined this pill? The First Elder's words made the Ning family's master so proud that his tail was about to rise. However, the First Elder only glanced at him casually, then sat down and continued to eat. Seeing this, the master of the Ning family also sat down, not to be outdone. The two of them swept away everything, and not long after, the food on the table was completely wiped out. Seeing how they ate, Grape and Lotus Seed's eyes widened in disbelief. Their idle dreams had already been shattered, and now there was not even a bit of residue left. After finishing the meal on the table, the two of them looked at Lung Ruoxue expectantly. Their intentions were clear. Lung Ruoxue gave Grape and Lotus Seed a look, and the two of them retreated to get food. She then accompanied the two old men to chat. Godfather, Great Elder, how long has it been since you guys last ate? Lung Ruoxue asked speechlessly. Looking at Grape and Lotus Seed's expressions, they seemed to be frightened. Without you by our side, there's no one to make us good food. The Great Elder complained tearfully with snot and tears. Lung Ruoxue broke out in a cold sweat as she listened to them. She thought to herself, do you guys have to act so pitiful? With your status, if you want to eat something, aren't there a lot of people fighting to get it for you? Alright, little girl, can you tell me why you've come to the divine realm now? The master of the Ning family was still thinking about this. I was kidnapped. Lung Ruoxue sighed. Who is it? Who had the guts to kidnap my goddaughter? He really didn't know what was good for him. Don't be afraid. With Godfather backing you up, I won't let the people who kidnapped you have an easy time. Come, tell Godfather, who did this? The master of the Ning family said angrily, fuck. He even dared to kidnap his goddaughter. Wasn't he deliberately going against him? It's the Yin clan's old ancestor. Lung Ruoxue said lightly. Girl, who are you talking about? The master of the Ning family thought he had heard wrong and asked with uncertainty. It's the Yin family's old ancestor. Lung Ruoxue repeated. Why did he kidnap you? First elder had a puzzled look. That old fellow was not a lecherous person. Why would he kidnap Xue? This was really too strange. I don't know either. Lung Ruoxue said speechlessly. She had yet to meet the Yin clan's old ancestor after she arrived in the divinity. Pa! The master of the Ning family slammed his chopsticks on the stone table and roared in anger. How dare he kidnap my goddaughter? I don't care who he is, I won't let him off. Old thing, calm down. First elder consoled her. Then he asked Lung Ruoxue curiously, Xue, that old man kidnapped you. How did you escape? It's all thanks to my little beastie's help. Otherwise, I'm afraid I would still be trapped in the Yin family's main residence. Lung Ruoxue said with a faint smile. Following that, she gave them a brief account of what had happened at the Yin residence. The two of them couldn't help but laugh out loud when they heard it. Ha ha ha. Little girl, you're the best. He actually became an elder. The first elder said with a face full of admiration. Of course, don't you know whose goddaughter she is? The master of the Ning family was extremely proud. Little girl Xue, since you've come to the divine realm, why don't you stay here for a few days? I can also accompany Godfather. The master of the Ning family said again after he was satisfied. Godfather, I'm here to ask you to send me back to the godly mainland. Lung Ruoxue said, feeling a little embarrassed. She had been brought out for so long. The demon and the rest must have been worried to death. Xue, it wasn't easy for you to come to the divine realm, so no matter what Godfather says, he won't let you leave so easily. If you're afraid that the demonic man will be worried, at most, Godfather will ask someone from the Ning family to go and inform him. The master of the Ning family said stubbornly. He had not seen his precious goddaughter for so long. How could he let her go back so quickly? Furthermore, it seemed like he had to thank that old man from the Yin clan for being able to see Ruoxue in the divine realm. However, he still had to settle the score with him for kidnapping his goddaughter. Chapter 15-16. I don't have money, I only have my life 3. Alright then. Lung Ruoxue nodded in agreement. In reality, she had no choice but to agree. Whether she could return to the godly mainland or not, she still needed the help of her godfather, who asked him to not have enough strength right now. Seeing that Lung Ruoxue had agreed to stay for a few days, Master Ning and Grand Elder immediately beamed with joy. The grapes and lotus seeds that were served to them were all finished by them. After that, Master Ning brought Lung Ruoxue and the rest to his residence. Godfather, isn't it inappropriate for us to live in the forbidden area? Lung Ruoxue asked hesitantly as she stood at the entrance of the forbidden area. What's inappropriate about it? I have the final say in this family. The master of the Ning family said in an overbearing manner. Then he instructed Ning Yan, who had come out to welcome them, to arrange accommodation for Lung Ruoxue and the others. Don't worry, Patriarch. I've already arranged a place for you to stay. Ning Yan said hurriedly, his eyes constantly glancing at his master's slightly swollen face, but he did not dare to make it too obvious. Little girl, you go with Ning Yan first. Godfather, go get rid of the remaining poison. After Master Ning finished speaking, he disappeared with a whoosh. Miss Lung, please follow me, Ning Yan said respectfully. The first thing the master had done after returning was to visit Lung Ruoxue. This showed how important Miss Lung was to the master. I'll have to trouble you again, Butler Ning Yan. Lung Ruoxue said with an apologetic smile. No trouble at all. This is what I should do. Ning Yan quickly said. Miss Lung, this way please. Ning Yan continued. After leading Lung Ruoxue and the others to their assigned rooms, Ning Yan took his leave. Then, Ning Yan went to the door of the master's room, waiting for the master's summon. Not long after, a low voice came from the room. Ning Yan, come in. When Ning Yan heard this, he pushed the door open and entered. He bowed very respectfully and said, Patriarch, this subordinate is guilty. Oh, what crime are you guilty of? The master of the Ning family, who was sitting on the chair, said faintly, I didn't protect Miss Lung well, and caused her to be frightened. I deserve to die. Ning Yan reproached himself. Who let that little girl Shui, or stay in the courtyard? Don't tell me it was your idea? The master of the Ning family glanced at Ning Yan and said in a cold tone, It's the second elder. I originally wanted to arrange for Miss Lung to stay in the forbidden area, but the second elder said that Miss Lung is an outsider, and it's not convenient for her to stay in the forbidden area. Ning Yan quickly explained, Could it be that there's no place for Shui, or in the main residence? Master Ning's face was dark as he said coldly, The few days that Miss Lung arrived just happened to be the birthday of the substitute master. There were more guests in the main residence, so the rooms in the guest courtyard were a little tight. Therefore, the second elder asked me to arrange for Miss Lung to stay in the side courtyard. Originally, I wanted to arrange for Miss Lung to stay in the guest house, but Miss Lung was unwilling. She said that she liked peace and quiet, so the side courtyard was just right. Ning Yan continued, That girl really doesn't like to be disturbed. The master of the Ning family nodded. Although he was not happy that the second elder had let Shui, or stay in another courtyard, he also knew that the girl probably wanted others to arrange it this way. What do you mean by frightened? The master of the Ning family asked. 2 nights ago, someone sneaked into Miss Lung's room and wanted to kill her. Fortunately, her beastie found out, so Miss Lung was safe and sound. Ning Yan wiped the cold sweat from his forehead and carefully replied. Although he had been by the master's side for many years, the master's fickleness was still very frightening. Therefore, he was very afraid that the master would vent his anger on him because of this matter. Who ordered it? How dare you kill my goddaughter in our Ning family's territory? You really don't want to live. Master Ning narrowed his eyes, and a bloodthirsty light flashed through them. This subordinate is currently sending people to investigate, but so far, 5th Miss is the most suspicious. Ning Yan said bluntly, 5th young lady? Which 5th young lady? The master of the Ning family was confused. 5th Miss name is Ning Shi. She's the niece of the acting master, and one of your descendants. Ning Yan reminded. Oh, I don't have any impression. The master of the Ning family said without even thinking. Why did she find someone to kill Shui? The master of the Ning family couldn't help but ask. Shui had only been in the Ning family for a few days, so how had she provoked their 5th miss? When Ning Yan heard this, he quickly explained the whole story to his ancestor, including the relationship between Lung Ruoxue and Ning Hai. After all, he had a good impression of Ning Hai. If he could get the master's favor because of this, it would be a great opportunity for the little guy. Tell Ning Hai to come see me tomorrow. I want to see this little guy. After thinking for a while, the master of the Ning family said, Since Shui, and the girl address each other as brother and sister, then as the godfather, he should at least meet his own junior and thank him for taking care of Shui along the way. Yes, Ning Yan replied, but he did not leave immediately. Why haven't you left yet? When he raised his head, the master of the Ning family saw that Ning Yan was still standing in the same place, and he was a little displeased. Master, you haven't announced the punishment for your subordinate yet. Ning Yan whispered. Take good care of Shui, and investigate the matter of Shui Er's attack. Consider it as atonement for your mistake. The master of the Ning family didn't know whether to laugh or cry. Was he such an unreasonable person? If he wanted to punish someone, he should punish the culprit. How could he really punish his own subordinates? Don't worry, master. I will do my best to find out the truth. Ning Yan promised, and then left the room. After Ning Yan left, the master of the Ning family took out a voice transmission jade plate and shouted, You old thing, get the hell out here. After a long while, the jade token finally responded, What's the matter? A lazy voice came from the jade token. The owner of this voice was none other than the Yin clan's old ancestor who had kidnapped Lung Ruoxue. You old geezer, how dare you kidnap my goddaughter? I think you don't want to live anymore. The master of the Ning family roared angrily. When did I kidnap your goddaughter? Don't ruin my reputation. The master of the Yin family quickly said. You're still playing dumb. You didn't kidnap my Shui. Lord Ning of the Ning family reminded him angrily. Shui, could it be Lung Ruoxue? The master of the Yin family was a little shocked. How did that little girl get involved with that old thing from the Ning family? She had just sent away a difficult one yesterday, and now this old thing was here again. This old man was much more difficult to deal with than the little guy yesterday. It's her. How dare you kidnap my goddaughter? What do you think we should do about this? The master of the Ning family roared aggressively. I didn't even know that little girl was your goddaughter. Master Yin said gloomily. Well, that girl is already difficult enough to deal with. And now there's another unreasonable one a few days ago. Today, this old fellow came to our door again. If I knew that Lung Ruoxue was so troublesome, I wouldn't have brought her to the divinity. Now he had not achieved his goal and was in trouble. Chapter 15-17. I don't have money, I only have my life for. Do you think you'll be fine just because you don't know? The master of the Ning family sneered. What else do you want? That little girl has already left our Yin clan, and even kidnapped 2 of our Yin clan's maidservants. A few days ago, a stinky brat came to our door and caused a huge ruckus. It wasn't easy for me to get rid of him. For the sake of our many years of friendship, please spare me. All right. The master of the Yin family pretended to be pitiful. Spare you? No way. You kidnapped my goddaughter and caused her to be frightened. You have to compensate her for the emotional damage. The master of the Ning family said, unwilling to let it go. If he let go of such a good opportunity to rip someone off, his surname wouldn't be Ning. Furthermore, this old man from the Yin family was known for being stingy. If he could get a piece of this old man's fur, how glorious would that be? Therefore this old man was destined to bleed a lot, he thought happily. I don't have any money, but am dead. The master of the Yin family made up his mind. That brat had already taken a lot from him. If he was robbed by this old thing from the Ning family again, he might as well kill himself. Master Yin's words stunned Master Ning. He immediately reacted and scolded. You disrespecting old man, look at you. Does your Yin family lack that little bit of money? Let me tell you. Don't even think about being lazy when it comes to compensating my goddaughter. I don't have any money, believe it or not. Master Yin also roared, and Master Ning's eardrums hurt. However, what made the master of the Ning family even more incredulous was what had happened to the old man of the Yin family. Wasn't she just asking for some compensation? Why was he so angry? Or did he suffer some kind of shock? I say, old man Yin, don't be poor in front of me. You don't have money? The master of the Ning family clearly didn't believe him. In the 8 great divine domains, although the Yin family wasn't the richest, they definitely didn't lack money. Now this old thing was actually pretending to be poor? This can't do. He still wanted to make a fortune for his precious goddaughter. I really don't have any money. All my money was taken away by a damn brat yesterday. If you want compensation, go get it from him. The master of the Yin family said dejectedly. From his tone, one could hear that he was not just depressed. What little brat? The master of the Ning family asked curiously. That little brat beside that girl is really ruthless. Not only did he rob me to the point of bankruptcy, he also. The master of the Yin family stopped halfway. He really couldn't say this out loud. Moreover, he had promised that guy that he wouldn't tell anyone about the agreement between them. This time, he had boarded a pirate ship, and a pirate ship that could not be disembarked. Return what? The master of the Ning family asked. Don't ask. In short, I've suffered a double loss. The master of the Yin clan was extremely depressed. Although I sympathize with you, you still have to compensate for my good daughter's emotional damage. I can't let you kidnap her for nothing. After a moment of silence, Master Ning spoke again. Damn it. I've already compensated you, and you're still asking for more? The master of the Yin family said angrily. When did you compensate? Why didn't I receive it? The master of the Ning family pretended to be confused. I've already compensated that stinky brat. The master of the Yin family reminded. Old man Yin, these are 2 different things. If he wants it, it won't have anything to do with me. You kidnapped my goddaughter, so I have to get back at Shui? Right? Otherwise, wouldn't I become a mere decoration? So, you can't run away from this compensation. The Ning family's master chuckled, and his words, unsurprisingly, made the Yin family's master jump. Damned old thing. You're clearly looting a burning house. I'll still say the same thing. I don't have money, but I'll take my life. You do as you see fit. The master of the Yin family said without fear. Then you can write an IOU. When you have it, give it to me. The master of the Ning family said disapprovingly. An IOU? When the master of the Yin family heard this, he was so angry that he almost vomited blood. He couldn't help but curse in his heart. Fuck. What kind of people were these? One of them made him bankrupt, and the other wanted him to write an IOU. Did they even have any humanity left? They really went too far. Did they think he was easy to bully? He was filled with hatred. MMH. Write me an IOU and compensate my daughter when you have the money. You won't die so soon anyway, and we're not in a hurry to get the money. The master of the Ning family laughed evilly. In fact, his ability to collect debts had been learned from that girl Shui. Today he had tried it out, and it was really satisfying. What if I die? The master of the Yin family asked, suppressing his anger. If you die, you'll still have your son and grandson. You have so many descendants, you'll definitely be able to collect the compensation. Master Ning said with a smile. You. Master Yin was so angry that he couldn't speak. Old man Yin, for the sake of our friendship, send me the IOU within a month. Otherwise, I am the Grand Elder of the Craftsmen's Guild will have to personally go and get it. Master Ning said with a smile. The head elder of the Craftsmen's Guild? What does this have to do with him? The master of the Yin family asked in confusion. That old man has always wanted to acknowledge Shui, as his granddaughter. Now that the granddaughter he has his eyes on has been bullied by you, do you think it has anything to do with him? The master of the Ning family raised his eyebrows and asked calmly. When the master of the Yin family heard this, he couldn't help but wipe the cold sweat on his forehead and secretly thought, what exactly is that girl's background? Why were they all targeting her? Actually, the reason why he had sent Lung Ruoxue to the god world was because he had a high opinion of that lass. Who knew that she would actually cause him such a huge problem? Now he was filled with regret. If he could turn back time, he would not have shamelessly kidnapped Lung Ruoxue and brought her to the divinity. However, it seemed like it was too late to say anything now. It was already hard enough to deal with a little brat. Now there was also the master of the Ning family, and the great elder of the Craftsmen's Guild. They were all people he did not want to provoke. Sob. What should he do now? The reason why I brought that girl back to the divine realm was also because I like her. I don't have any ill intentions. At the Yin family, I treated her well. She made a mess of my Yin family, but I didn't hide it from her. So on account of our many years of friendship, don't hold it against me. I really didn't know that she was your goddaughter. If I had known that you two had such a relationship, I wouldn't have kidnapped her no matter what. After some thought, Master Yin softened his tone. You like her? Don't you know how old you are? Aren't you ashamed? When Master Ning heard Old Man Yin say that he liked Lung Ruoxue, he immediately exploded. You've misunderstood. I don't like her. I like her as a person, Master Yin said incoherently, but before he could finish, he was interrupted by Master Ning. Chapter 15:18. An uneasy reception 1. Isn't that the same? Don't tell me tongue twisters, you're already so old, you can't even be my goddaughter. The master of the Ning family roared in anger. It was fortunate that the old man of the Yin family was not in front of him. Otherwise he would have beaten him up. Old fart, he actually dared to have designs on that little girl Shui. He really didn't want to live. When did I say I wanted to be your godson-in-law? Will you listen to me properly? The master of the Yin family roared back. Fuck. He had been stunned by this old thing. If it wasn't for the fact that the words god-in-law had stimulated him, he probably wouldn't have reacted yet. Good. You tell me. The master of the Ning family took a deep breath and said, Old thing, if you don't explain yourself, I'll go to the Yin family's god realm with the great elder tomorrow to settle the score with you, he muttered in his heart. I really like that little girl, but not the kind of like you think. I brought her to the immortal realm, because I wanted her to be my granddaughter-in-law. The master of the Yin family explained in a low voice. Granddaughter-in-law? Are you daydreaming? My Shui already has a fiancé. Don't even think about her. The master of the Ning family shouted at the top of his voice again. He had taken a fancy to Shui for a long time. If he didn't know that Shui wouldn't marry unless she was that demon, he would have introduced Shui to his junior a long time ago. As the saying goes, don't let your fertile water flow into others' fields. How could it be outsiders' turn to remember? I'm not interested in her anymore. Master Yin said without confidence. With a man like that watching over Lung Ruoxue like a tiger watching its prey, how would he dare to have any ideas? You're tactful, the master of the Ning family said with satisfaction. Then don't bother with me. I'm already miserable enough. You can't add fuel to the fire. The master of the Yin family pretended to be pitiful. These are two different things. As Shui's godfather, how can I not stand up for my own goddaughter when she is being bullied? The master of the Ning family said stubbornly. I'm already very miserable. What else do you want? The master of the Yin family had a headache. When did the old man from the Ning family become so stubborn? It was really infuriating. I don't care if you're miserable or not. You can't lose a single cent. The master of the Ning family said without any sympathy. After that, he recited the items that the other party needed to compensate him. At the same time, he kindly told the master of the Yin family that if he really couldn't take them out, he had to write an IOU and send it to him within a month. Otherwise, he would bear the consequences. Then, he cut off the voice transmission jade plate and pretended not to hear the other party's calls. The next morning, with a nervous heart, Ning Hai came to the forbidden area in the back mountain of the Ning family. Because he was summoned by the old ancestor, he did not encounter any obstacles when he came to the forbidden area. Please inform Butler Ning Yan that Ning Hai is here. Ning Hai said to the guard of the forbidden area very respectfully. Wait a moment. The guard responded and went to inform Ning Yan. After a while, Ning Yan came out and looked at Ning Hai. Follow me. Yes. Following behind Ning Yan, Ning Hai came to a unique courtyard. Ning Hai knew that this should be the old ancestor's residence. Before they entered, Ning Yan looked at Ning Hai and reminded him. Ning Hai, it's been a long time since the ancestor has summoned the clansmen, so you must cherish this opportunity. Don't worry, Butler Ning Yan. I will. Ning Hai said gratefully. Go in. The old ancestor is waiting for you. After Ning Yan finished speaking, he turned around and left. His intention was clear. He wanted Ning Hai to go in by himself. After hesitating for a while, Ning Hai gathered his courage and walked into the courtyard. The old ancestor's residence was not as gorgeous as outsiders had imagined. Instead, it was very simple and plain. Ning Hai walked into the courtyard and saw his old ancestor sitting on the stone chair. He quickly bowed and said, Ning Hai greets old forefather. As he said this, his heart was beating like thunder. He was extremely nervous. This was the first time he had seen the old ancestor up close. In fact, even those of the direct line did not have many opportunities to be met by the old ancestor alone. Therefore, he was very clear that this was definitely a great opportunity for him. Sit down. After observing Ning Hai for a while, the head of the Ning family slowly spoke. He had a good impression of Ning Hai. He was a simple and honest child. Thank you, ancestor. Although Ning Hai's heart was a little nervous, he tried to make himself look neither humble nor arrogant. He was a man with a backbone, and he didn't want people to say that he was favored by his ancestor because of nepotism. Thank you for taking care of Shui along the way. The master of the Ning family said directly. This is what I should do. I treat Ruoxue like a younger sister. Ning Hai said carefully. Although Ruoxue was the elder ancestor's goddaughter and was above him in both status and generation, his heart for Ruoxue was still the same as before. It would not change even if Ruoxue's status changed. In his eyes, Ruoxue was still that kind and understanding sister. I can grant you one request. The master of the Ning family heard Ning Hai's words and said lightly, Thank you, ancestor, but I don't need it. Ning Hai refused. Although this opportunity was hard to come by, he didn't want this request to be exchanged for his relationship with Wuxia. You don't need it? Do you know how hard it is to get my promise? If it were any other clansman, I'm afraid they'd have already fainted from joy. The master of the Ning family said angrily, Ancestor, I know that you're willing to agree to one of my requests because of Wuxia, but I'm not worthy of it. Ning Hai said with a face full of shame. Then, he reported everything that had happened along the way to the head of the Ning family. After that, he lowered his head and kept silent. Brat, you think I don't know about this? In fact, you can't be blamed for this. Who asked you to be so weak? But you finally brought Shui, to the Ning family. I should reward you for this. The master of the Ning family said calmly. But I didn't bring Wuxia to the Ning family for the reward. Ning Hai explained. I know. That's why I'm rewarding you. If you had a motive, do you think I'd see you? The master of the Ning family smiled, understanding. Thank you for the reward, but I really don't have any requests. Ning Hai thought for a while and said, No requirements? Don't you want to improve your strength or come to the forbidden area to cultivate? And your family, if you really don't have any requests, you can also make one for them. The master of the Ning family reminded. Ning Hai hesitated. He knew very well that this opportunity was very rare, but the promise of the ancestor was also very hot. If the other clan members knew about it, he would be in endless trouble. You can think about it. If you've made up your mind, go to Ning Yan. I'll bring you to see me. The master of the Ning family was very understanding. Then he let Ning Hai go. Chapter 15-19. An uneasy reception, too. After Ning Hai returned home, he was still thinking about the old ancestor's words. It even made him feel that it was unreal. As soon as he entered the door, Ning Shan told him that there was a gathering in the clan at night, and all the clansmen had to attend. We're going to? Ning Hai was very surprised. They were not directly related to the Ning family. The butler said that it was the ancestor's order. Furthermore, Mother has also gone to the main residence to prepare for the gathering tonight. Ning Shan said with an excited smile. The housekeeper he was referring to was not Ning Yan, but the housekeeper of the Ning family's main residence. Brother, have you seen the old ancestor? Ning Shan asked again. I've seen him. Ning Hai was a man of few words and didn't want to say another word. How's our ancestor now? Was he handsome? What did he say to you? Ning Shan asked with excitement. He didn't say anything. We were just casually chatting. Ning Hai didn't want to say more. Brother, what a great opportunity this was. I'm afraid that many of our clansmen will never have the chance to see our ancestor in their entire lives. I'm so envious of you. Ning Shan said. What's there to be envious about? Maybe you'll be able to see the ancestor tonight. Ning Hai patted his brother's head and said. Really? Ning Shan's face was filled with anticipation. Yes. Ning Hai nodded. In the evening, Ning Hai and his sons walked to the main house. When they arrived, they found that the main house was already full of people. Not only were the direct descendants of the Ning family present, but even the branch families living in the city were all present. This time, the gathering was arranged at the largest training ground in the main residence. Ning Hai brought his father and brother to the seats arranged for them. Ning Shan, who rarely had the opportunity to come to the main residence, looked around curiously. Shan, don't look around. Ning Hai reminded him in a low voice. I know, brother. Yes, Ning Shan replied, but his eyes were still rolling around uncontrollably. This training ground was not only the largest in the Ning family's main residence, but also the best. The Ning family members who could train here were almost all direct descendants. Branch family members like them, unless they had extremely high qualifications, were not qualified to train here. This was also the place he yearned for the most. With the passage of time, the elders of the Ning family also arrived one by one, but the main seat and its two sides were still empty. Just as everyone was discussing in low voices, the Ning family's supreme old ancestor finally arrived. After seeing the old ancestor, all the people of the Ning family present bowed very respectfully. All right. It's only a family banquet today, So let's forget about all these superficial gifts. The Ning family's old ancestor spoke and sat on the main seat. On the seats to his left and right, one was for Lung Ruoxua, while the other was reserved for the first elder. Yes, old ancestor. Everyone stood up. Then they realized that there was a woman beside their old grandmadam. Most of them were unfamiliar with this woman. Brother, isn't that Sister Ruoxua? Why is she sitting with the old forefather? Ning Shan whispered in surprise. He was excited and surprised to see the old grandmadam, but he was shocked to see Lung Ruoxua. She's the elder ancestor's goddaughter. Ning Hai said with a sigh. Seeing old grandmadam's attitude towards Ruoxua, he knew that old grandmadam loved Ruoxua very much. Otherwise, she wouldn't have let her sit beside him. However, at the same time, he was a little worried because Ruoxua would be remembered by many people. Old grandmadam was putting Ruoxua on fire. This is too surprising. Ning Shan stuttered. He was so shocked that he did not know what to say. Ning Yuan and the other elders were equally surprised. They didn't expect that the woman who had been invited to the main residence a few days ago would be related to the ancestor. What should they do? To be able to sit beside the old ancestor. That identity was definitely not ordinary. At the thought of this, some of the elders felt guilty. She's Lung Ruoxua, my goddaughter. After taking in the expressions of everyone present, the master of the Ning family gave a simple introduction. His words were like a bomb that exploded in everyone's hearts. At this moment, the clansmen who did not know the relationship between Lung Ruoxua and the old ancestor were all clear about it. However, their hearts were filled with jealousy. There were so many clansmen in the Ning family, but only a few of them were able to receive the old ancestor's favor. Now an outsider had taken advantage of them. How could their proud hearts accept this? Old man, what are you trying to do? Looking at the different expressions of the Ning family members, the great elder asked in a low voice with a little dissatisfaction. This old thing introduced the little girl to his family in such a high-profile way. He was afraid that it would have the opposite effect. Nothing. Shuer is my goddaughter, and can be considered their elder. I have to let these juniors get to know each other. Master Ning said matter-of-factly. Is there a need for that? The great elder frowned, feeling that this was purely old man Ning's wishful thinking. Of course there is. Why else do you think I've gathered so many people together? The master of the Ning family raised his eyebrows. Don't think that I don't know what you're thinking. You're just afraid that some of the younger generation in your family will be so blind as to provoke that little girl Shuai. First elder understood. However, he was not optimistic about Master Ning's thoughts. Instead, he felt that he was putting Lung Ruoxua in the limelight by doing this. Now it would be impossible for Shuai, not to attract attention. Master Ning smiled. He did not deny that he had such thoughts. However, more importantly, he wanted to let the clan members get to know Lung Ruoxua. After all, Shuai was his goddaughter. After Lung Ruoxua was dragged out by Master Ning to show off, she was extremely depressed. Could she leave now? She had already felt many envious and even thought-provoking gazes. Some were envious, some were probing, and some were curious. There were even a few eyes that were especially heated. Ancestor, I'd like to know, what right does this woman have to be your goddaughter? Suddenly, a crisp voice rang out, instantly drawing everyone's attention. The speaker was a red-robed woman. When Lung Ruoxua saw this lady, she squinted her beautiful eyes and laughed in her heart. Wasn't this the fifth young lady of the Ning family? He was really bold to actually make trouble in public. Moreover, the person who questioned him was the supreme old ancestor of the Ning family. This time, she wanted to see how Godfather would deal with his junior. The great elder was also in the mood to watch a good show. He looked at the master of the Ning family provocatively, then lowered his head and said nothing. The master of the Ning family raised his eyes slightly and looked at Ning Xier, who had just spoken, and said indifferently, "Are you questioning me? Don't tell me that I need your permission to accept anyone as my goddaughter?" Ancestor. I didn't mean it that way. I just want to know what qualifications she has to be your goddaughter. Ning Xier listened to her ancestor's cold words and quickly explained with a stutter. Chapter 1520. An Uneasy Reception 3. What right does she have to be related to you? The master of the Ning family asked with a cold smile. The old ancestor belongs to our Ning family. She's just an outsider. What right does she have to be the old ancestor's goddaughter? Ningxia said unhappily. At this time Ning Yuan, who was sitting at the main table, felt like dying after hearing Ningxia's words. However, he hated his niece even more for not knowing what was good for her. She actually dared to question the old ancestor in public. Wasn't she looking for trouble for herself? If she were to anger the old ancestor because of this, even he would not be able to save her. Whether I have the right or not is up to me, not you. The master of the Ning family suppressed the anger in his heart and said, was this brainless descendant really from the Ning family? The Ning family's face had been completely lost by her. Great, now the great elder had another excuse to laugh at him. Forefather, I'm also doing this for the good of the family. Our Ning family is one of the 8 great divine regions. Not just any Tom, Dick, or Harry can be associated with our Ning family. Ningxia said very seriously. Well said. The Ning family is amazing to have a descendant like you. You're even interfering with your own ancestor. At this moment, the first elder said with a smile. Who are you? Our Ning family's matters don't need an outsider like you to interfere. Ningxia glared at the first elder, her beautiful face full of displeasure. All right. I'm an outsider. Oh, shut up. The great elder said helplessly. However, he was in a good mood. He also wanted to see how Old Man Ning planned to deal with this meddlesome descendant. Forefather, isn't there a family gathering today? Why are these random people here? Ningxi continued to question the first elder when she saw that he had stopped talking. Great elder, we seem to have come to the wrong place. After hearing Ning Xi'er's words, Lung Ruoxua chuckled as she spoke to the first elder. Why don't we leave this place? First elder suggested with a smile. None of you are allowed to leave. Hearing the conversation between the two, the master of the Ning family couldn't bear it anymore and roared. Godfather, calm down, the great elder and I just didn't want to make things difficult for you. Lung Ruoxua consoled him with a smile. We don't want to make things difficult for you. The great elder nodded in agreement. Rolling his eyes at the gloating first elder, the master of the Ning family turned to Ningxi. I'll give you 2 choices. Either you sit down obediently, or you leave this place immediately. Hurry up and sit down. When Ning Yuan heard the old ancestor's words, he quickly growled in a low voice. At the same time, he wiped the cold sweat on his forehead and thought to himself, fortunately, the old ancestor did not blame Shi-er. Otherwise, the consequences would be hard to deal with. Now he only hoped that Shi-er would be more sensible and not offend the old ancestor. Actually, it wasn't that the master of the Ning family didn't blame Ning Shi-er, but with his status, he couldn't be bothered to argue with a junior. Thus, he left this opportunity to Lung Ruoxua. However, up until now, Lung Ruoxua had no intention of making a move. Ningxi had to listen to Ning Yuan's words. In fact, she didn't mean to annoy the old ancestor. It was just that when she saw the old ancestor introduce the woman she hated to the clan so seriously, she was madly jealous. That was why she had lost her composure in front of the old ancestor. Seeing that Ningxia had sat down obediently, the first elder smiled and said in surprise, It seems that the substitute master's words are more effective than yours. When Ning Yuan heard this, he was so scared that he knelt on the ground and said, Old ancestor, Shir has always been very obedient. She didn't mean it. Please forgive her this time. The master of the Ning family snorted and ignored Ning Yuan. Acting clan head. If Godfather wanted to argue with Miss Wu, would he still give her 2 choices? Right. Godfather. Lung Ruoxua raised her head and asked with an innocent look. Shue, this banquet was specially organized for you, so we'll ignore those irrelevant people for now. If there's anything else, we'll talk after the banquet. The master of the Ning family said indifferently. From the meaning of his words, it seemed that he still wanted to settle the accounts after autumn. When Lung Ruoxua heard this, she laughed nonchalantly. Godfather. 5th Miss is also doing this for the good of the Ning family. Please don't be angry with her. Hearing Lung Ruoxua plead for 5th Miss, Master Ning smiled indifferently. However, before he could speak, fifth Miss Ning could not help but shout, "Who needs your fake kindness?" As soon as she said this, Ning Yuan felt cold sweat dripping down his body. He secretly raised his eyes and looked at his old ancestor, but he did not dare to say a word. No one could figure out his ancestor's temper until now. Logically speaking, if it were another family's ancestor, they would have already punished Shi-er with the family law for what he had done. However, his ancestor did not have much of a reaction, and allowed Shi-er to cause trouble. Moreover, the ancestor did not say anything, and he did not dare to be presumptuous in front of the ancestor. Therefore, he could only be anxious. Unfortunately, no matter how many looks he gave Shi-er, his niece was unmoved. Although he was angry, there was nothing he could do. Although he was the acting head of the family, with the old ancestor around, there was no room for him to speak. "Little girl, I don't appreciate it." The master of the Ning family didn't say anything, but the great elder spoke up, hoping that the world would be in chaos. Ning Yuan was extremely depressed when he heard the first elder's words. However, he did not dare to reprimand the old man. After all, the old man's seniority and status were above his. "It doesn't matter," Lung Ruoxue said nonchalantly, her beautiful eyes looking at Ning Shi-er with a faint smile. Ning Shi-er was flustered by Lung Ruoxue's stare. In a moment of desperation, she shouted, "I want to challenge you." As soon as she said this, everyone was stunned, and they looked at Ning Shi-er in disbelief. Ugh! Did they hear wrong? How did it become a challenge? However, many people still thought that Ning Shi-er had gone mad. Otherwise, why would she challenge Lung Ruoxue? "Big brother, fifth young lady wants to challenge big sister Ruoxue. What should we do?" Ning Shan, who was sitting in an inconspicuous position, asked softly with a worried look. According to the rules of the Ning family, everyone had the right to challenge, and also the right to reject. However, if one rejected someone's challenge, it would be regarded as a sign of cowardice and would be looked down upon. Although he had not known Lung Ruoxue for long, he did not want her to be looked down upon. "Don't worry, our ancestor is still here," Ning Hai replied with a smile. He wasn't worried about the fifth young lady's challenge at all, because her strength wasn't on the same level as Ruoxue's. If the weaker party challenged the stronger party, and the stronger party didn't agree, they would definitely be looked down upon. However, the current situation was the exact opposite. The fifth young lady was a deity while Ruoxue was only a mid-stage deity. Even if Ruoxue refused, no one could say anything. Not to mention, she still had the old ancestor's support. Chapter 1521. Rumors stop with the wise one? N. Ning Shan nodded. His brother's words made him feel more at ease. After Ning Shi-er said this and saw that Lung Ruoxue didn't respond for a long time, she couldn't help but feel a little angry. At this time, she didn't seem to notice the strange looks from the crowd. Instead, she glared at Lung Ruoxue and said, "I want to challenge you. Do you not dare to accept?" Lung Ruoxue frowned as she looked at the aggressive Ning Shi-er. She really didn't know what to say. What if she didn't accept her challenge? This woman would definitely go on, and she might even make up stories about him in private. However, he was a little reluctant to accept Ning Shi-er's challenge. After all, she didn't want to reveal her trump card too early. It was really difficult. "Miss Ning, I'm only a mid-level deity. Are you sure you want to challenge me?" Lung Ruoxue sighed and reminded him helplessly. "What's wrong? Are you scared?" Ning Shi-er said proudly. "I'm not afraid. It's just that Miss Ning is challenging a mid-level deity. It's not a fair victory. Even if you win, there's nothing to show off. If this gets out, many people will think that Miss Ning is bullying the weak, and some might even say that the Ning family's upbringing is bad." Lung Ruoxue looked at her godfather and smiled. Hearing Lung Ruoxue's words, everyone in the Ning family could not help but start to discuss. Yup, how could the fifth young lady act so rashly? To think that she could open her mouth. It is. How can she do that? Actually, this is nothing. It's just sparring between fellow clansmen, so we can stop there. Very quickly, the crowd formed two distinct opinions. However, they were just here to watch the show. After all, one was the fifth young lady who was favored by the family, and the other was the goddaughter of the ancestor. How interesting was this? It's only sparring. If you're afraid, just say it. Why are you hesitating? Ningxier said as she listened to the discussions of her clansmen, her beautiful face full of provocation and disdain. You think I'm afraid? Lung Ruoxue raised her brows slightly and said, feeling a little speechless. If you're not afraid, then just agree. Ningxier said loudly, what are the benefits of agreeing to it? Lung Ruoxue chuckled. Benefits? What do you want? Ningxier said, holding back her anger. Although she was very angry, her goal was to make Lung Ruoxue accept her challenge. So she had to hold back her anger, even if it was as big as the sky, so as not to waste all her previous efforts. There has to be some kind of reward. I don't want to waste my time with others. Lung Ruoxue said nonchalantly, as if she was talking about someone else's matters. Good. If I lose this storage ring and everything inside it will be yours. Ningxier gritted her teeth and said. Who knew that after she finished speaking, Lung Ruoxue only looked at her indifferently and did not reply to her at all. This caused her anger to burst out again. With this storage bracelet, there should be a lot of good things in here. This should be enough, right? Ningxier took out a red storage bangle and said fiercely. She had really put in a lot of money, but she wasn't worried. No matter how much she put in, it would still be hers in the end. She was sure that Lung Ruoxue wouldn't be able to take it away. Miss Ning, let me see what's inside. Otherwise, how would I know if it's empty or just a pile of trash? Lung Ruoxue clearly did not believe her. All right. Ningxier was furious. Following that, there was a clatter as she took out everything from the storage ring and displayed it in front of everyone. When everyone saw it, they couldn't help but gasp. Many of them were even muttering in their hearts, "Fifth young miss is really rich." There were quite a lot of good things. You've never seen these things before, have you? Do you want me to explain it to you? Ningxier smiled smugly and pointed at a pile of colorful crystals. These are all top-grade crystals of various attributes. And this is the green lotus fruit, one of the most expensive fruits in the immortal realm. She said while holding a green fruit. This jade bottle contains a 9 revolutions soul return elixir. Even a dead person would be able to jump around immediately after eating this elixir. Ningxier continued, watching her introduce the items in the ring one by one. Lung Ruoxue could not help but sneer in her heart. What an idiot. She actually didn't understand the principle of not revealing her wealth. She had exposed all her assets without any scruples. Even if those things were still in her hands in the end, she would not be able to rest in peace, because she had already seen many greedy eyes. After a long time, the smile on Ningxier's face grew wider and wider, and the way she looked at Lung Ruoxue became more and more provocative. Then she said, "How is it? These prizes are pretty good, aren't they? I'm afraid you've never seen so many good things before. I haven't. Since Miss Wu is so sincere, I'll accept your challenge." Lung Ruoxue said with a faint smile. Although the good things in Ningxier's eyes were nothing in her eyes, since she had taken the initiative to come to her door, it would be a waste not to take them. Moreover, even if she didn't want them, Ningxier might not be able to keep them. Humph. You're tactful. Ningxier's mood improved. "Fifth young lady, I wonder how you're going to do this challenge?" Lung Ruoxue asked out of curiosity. "Best of 3. Ningxier said bluntly. 3 rounds? Can I get help?" Lung Ruoxue asked calmly. "Of course you can." Ningxier quickly denied it, but she couldn't help but think, if I could find someone to help me, why would I still fight you? Can I use beastie? Lung Ruoxue continued to ask. "You can." Ningxier couldn't take it anymore and roared. "Damn it! Why does this woman have so many questions? Fifth young lady, you better tell me what I can do." Lung Ruoxue changed her question. "It can only be the 2 of us," Ningxier said through gritted teeth. "Oh." Lung Ruoxue pretended to understand. "Miss Lung, I don't know what kind of wager you can offer." At this time, the second elder who had been silent all this time suddenly spoke. "I'm very poor and really can't take out a stake that's equal to 5th Miss S. However, my godfather is rich. If I lose, he'll help me put out the prize." Lung Ruoxue said confidently. However, her words made the second elder so angry that he could not say anything. The second elder was infuriated. Lung Ruoxue's godfather was the master of the Ning family. The master's money belonged to the Ning family, right? Hence, Lung Ruoxue had not put out any stakes at all. She had gained something for nothing. However, he was slightly comforted by the fact that Lung Ruoxue would not win. After all, her abilities were there for all to see. With the second elder's reminder, Ning Xi'er suddenly realized that Lung Ruoxue had not placed a bet. Although she was sure that Lung Ruoxue would not be able to take away her things, she could not let Lung Ruoxue not have a single drop of blood. Chapter 1522. A wise man stops rumors too. When she heard Lung Ruoxue say that she was poor and didn't have anything of value, she felt a little depressed. However, she was more pleased with herself because that was within her expectations. However, when she heard Lung Ruoxue say that her old grandmadam would place this bet on her behalf, she could not help but feel envious. Hence, she did not even think before asking, "Old grandmadam, is Miss Lung's wager really coming from you?" "I'll pay." The master of the Ning family nodded, and then he said, "Since you've challenged Shui, I won't stop you. However, it's not satisfying to watch the two of you compete alone. Why don't you bring forward the family competition that's going to be held half a year later? Well, set the time for 7 days later, so you should all prepare well." Master Ning's words were like a stone that stirred up 1,000 ripples, causing many of the unprepared Ning family members to be dumbfounded. They had originally had half a year's time to prepare well, but who knew that because of Ning Xi'er's challenge, they had to compete in advance. This made many people resentful of Ning Xi'er, but because of Ning Xi'er's status, they only dared to be angry but did not dare to say anything. "Master, isn't it a little inappropriate to bring the family competition forward? Many of our clansmen are out traveling. He definitely won't be able to make it back in 7 days." The second elder could not help but remind him. "How many of them are traveling outside?" The master of the Ning family asked. This. The second elder was at a loss for words. How would he know how many of them were traveling? Those clansmen might not tell him that they had left their homes. Since second elder is not clear, then the family competition will be held in 7 days. All clansmen who meet the conditions can participate. Regardless of direct or branch family, everyone will be treated equally. The master of the Ning family announced loudly. The Ning family master's words made many of the clansmen present excited. "Brother, I can also participate in the family competition." Ning Shan said very excitedly, so excited that his little face was flushed red. "Yes." Ning Hai nodded. He was happy for his brother. However, some people were happy while others were sad. This was good news for the distant relatives, but it was not the case in the ears of the direct relatives. "Master, isn't this against the rules?" The second elder asked carefully. In the past family competitions, only the direct family could participate. The branch family did not have this opportunity. Moreover, many of the direct family members looked down on the branch family, and even treated them like slaves. If the direct family and the branch family were to compete, wouldn't it be a mess? Rules are dead, but people are alive. Branch family members are also my Ning family's descendants, so how is that against the rules? The master of the Ning family sneered. The patriarch is right. There are many elites in the branch family. We should give them a chance. An elder agreed. Third elder, I'll leave the matters of the clan competition to you. The master of the Ning family ordered. The third elder he was talking about was the elder who had just agreed with him. However, the second elder obviously still didn't quite agree, but he could only put on a dark face and not raise any objections. After that, the so-called welcoming banquet continued. Although it was not very harmonious, Ning Xi'er would make sarcastic remarks from time to time, but they were all ignored by Lung Ruoxue. She was even more focused on eating the food in front of her, eating without saying a word. After the torturous welcome banquet ended, Lung Ruoxue immediately left and locked herself in her room, not asking about anything. Even the master of the Ning family wanted to see her, but he was denied the door. The master of the Ning family, who had not seen him, Was anxious and uneasy. Sobbed Shui. Or couldn't be angry with him, right? Could it be that she was blaming him for not supporting her at the banquet? In fact, he had deliberately ignored Ningxi, and allowed her to make a fuss. He felt that life at home was a little dull, and wanted to find some fun. Moreover, he wouldn't really let anyone bully Shui. If Ningxi, went too far, he would definitely not let her go. However, he believed that Shui would not suffer. After returning to his residence, he gloomily sat down on the stone chair in the courtyard. The Ning family's master didn't say a word, but when the first elder saw him like this, he couldn't help but laugh and say, "What's wrong? You didn't see Shui again? She's definitely angry with you, and you're still the head of the family. You can't even manage your own descendants. You're really useless. Why can't I control my own descendants?" Hearing this, the master of the Ning family shouted at the top of his voice, "Can you manage that, Ningxi?" The first elder raised his brows and said with an evil smile, "Of course I can." The master of the Ning family said fiercely, "I can. She still dares to make a scene at the banquet?" The grand elder asked in surprise, "It's a different matter whether I care about it or not. I deliberately let her cause a scene at the banquet, can't I?" Master Ning's eyes were wide open as he said indignantly, "All right. This is your Ning family's territory, so you can do whatever you want, but whether or not Shui will let you have your way, that's hard to say." The great elder said with a smile. In fact, he also wanted to watch the show, but he did not know if Shui would give them this opportunity. Didn't Shui accept Ningxi's challenge? The master of the Ning family said, "By the way, do you really intend to let the two of them compete?" Shui is the mid-level deity. The first elder said worriedly, "This is something Shui agreed to herself. It has nothing to do with me. However, since she agreed, she should be confident." The master of the Ning family was not confident either. Furthermore, he wanted to see Lung Ruoxia but he could not, so he was a little frustrated. At this moment, he was not the only one who was frustrated. After the banquet ended, Ningxi, who felt that she had made a big splash at the banquet, was called into Ning Yuan's study room and severely reprimanded. This also made Ningxi's hatred for Lung Ruoxia deepen. After Ningxi returned to her room, she smashed everything in the room to pieces. The two maidservants beside her were also badly injured by her. But she still couldn't vent her hatred. After Ning Yuan had lectured Ningxi, he had gone to the forbidden area at the back of the mountain to beg for forgiveness from the old ancestor. As for what he had discussed with the master of the Ning family, no one knew. After he had left the forbidden area, he had also kept quiet. Time passed day by day. In these few days, rumors suddenly spread throughout the Ning family's main residence. These rumors were naturally related to Lung Ruoxia. Some people said that Lung Ruoxia was pampered and did not respect the Ning family. Some people said that Lung Ruoxia was brutal by nature and always abused servant girls. Some people even said that Lung Ruoxia was going to replace Ning Yuan and Ning Haolan as the master of the Ning family. The cause of all this was naturally because the master of the Ning family valued Lung Ruoxia. However, the more outrageous the rumor was, the more uneasy the Ning family became. In the Ning family's meeting hall, Ning Yuan and the elders gathered. "Elders, please speak your mind." Ning Yuan's head ached as he looked at the elders who were sitting there with unfriendly expressions. In fact, he knew what these elders wanted to say, but he had no other choice but to pretend to be confused. Chapter 1523. A Wise Man Stops Rumors 3. Acting Patriarch, there has been a rumor in the family recently. I wonder if you know about it? An elder asked after a long while. Since it's just a rumor, it doesn't matter if it's clear or not. Ning Yuan said calmly, obviously not taking it seriously. Acting Patriarch, how can it not be related? Your position is about to be replaced by someone else. Aren't you worried at all? The 19th elder roared in disbelief. 19th elder? Don't make things sound like they're just rumors. If your clansmen find out about this, have you thought about the consequences? Ning Yuan's face sank and he said unhappily. No one would be willing to hear such words, but the 19th elder spoke as if it was the truth. How could he not be angry? Acting Patriarch, there's no smoke without fire. I think you must be careful about this matter. How can our Ning family be handed over to an outsider? What will happen to so many of our clansmen? The 19th elder shouted with grief and indignation. 19th elder. Don't talk nonsense, it's completely impossible. Watch your mouth. If I hear such words from your mouth again, don't blame me for being impolite. Ning Yuan roared angrily. Acting patriarch, I'm just worried about you. It's fine if you don't appreciate it, but why are you threatening me? 19th elder's face was full of grievance. Just mind your own business, I don't need you to worry about me. If the master thinks that I'm not doing my job well, and wants to replace me, I have no objections. Ning Yuan said coldly. He really hated this kind of person who claimed that he was doing it for his own good, and wanted to take advantage of the chaos. The acting patriarch is right. If old forefather wants to replace me as the young lord, I have no objections. At this time, a cold voice came from the door. Then, a tall and straight figure appeared in the meeting hall. Haolan, you've returned, Ning Yuan said happily when he saw Ning Haolan. Greetings, acting clan head and elders. Ning Haolan greeted everyone with a slight bow. Young master, you heard the rumors? The 19th elder quickly asked when he saw that the future master of the Ning family had returned. Ning Haolan was different from Ning Yuan. Ning Yuan was only the acting master. Although the master had given him a lot of power, there were many things that he could not make the decisions on. On the other hand, Ning Haolan was the successor chosen by the master. The future of the Ning family would be handed over to him. Therefore, the 19th elder really hoped that Ning Haolan would take this matter seriously. I heard it. Ning Haolan said simply, his expression calm. Young master, we must take this matter seriously. If it's true, you and the acting family head will lose your position. The 19th elder warned. If this is true, what does the 19th elder plan to do? Don't tell me you can influence the old ancestors' thoughts? Ning Haolan said with a faint smile. But we can't just do nothing. If the master really wants to hand the Ning family over to an outsider, we must unite all the clansmen to oppose this matter. The Ning family cannot be surnamed Lung. The 19th elder roared with righteous indignation. So you're saying that you're going against our ancestor? You dare to oppose the decision of the ancestor. Your courage is commendable. Ning Haolan said with a face full of admiration. He was really speechless towards this brainless 19th elder. This rumor was clearly meant to sow discord. If it were him, he would have just brushed it off as a joke. However, these elders who had nothing better to do were actually discussing it as if it was a serious matter. If the old ancestor were to find out about this, what good would they do? Young master, you can't wrong me. How would I dare to go against the ancestor? I just don't want the Ning family to be an outsider. I'm the most loyal to the Ning family. 19th elder expressed his feelings. You treat a rumor like this, and you still dare to say that you're not trying to go against our ancestor? Haven't you heard of the saying, rumors stop at the wise? Are you all a bunch of pigheads? Ning Haolan looked around at the crowd and scolded them rudely. Young master, how can you say that about us? Which one of us here isn't your elder? The second elder was displeased by Ning Haolan. Second elder. As an elder, he should set an example. Such a groundless matter, and you elders were so concerned about it. If this were to spread, what would the ordinary clansmen think? Don't tell me you want to see our Ning family's hearts fall apart? Ning Haolan asked him politely. Young master, you've misunderstood. We didn't take the rumor seriously. We were just discussing how to stop it from spreading. The second elder chuckled. In that case, did I mishear the 19th elder's words? Ning Haolan laughed coldly, his starry eyes staring at the 19th elder. It's a misunderstanding, young master. Under Ning Haolan and the second elder's glares, the 19th elder changed his words without any backbone. Ooh, everyone clearly thinks the same as me. But no one dares to echo my words now. I've become the bird that stands out. What the hell is this? He felt so wronged. Since I've misunderstood, I hope that no one will mention this matter again. Otherwise, if this reaches the ears of the ancestor, no one will have a good ending. Ning Haolan warned. The young master is right. This matter is nothing. Rumors are just rumors. If we don't pay attention to them, they'll naturally fade away. Ning Yuan said. Everyone disperse. Ning Haolan suggested. And the sitting elder nodded, then stood up and left the meeting hall. Ning Yuan went up to Ning Haolan and sized him up before saying, Haolan, you're back for the family competition, right? Yes. The old ancestor said he wanted me to be a judge. Ning Haolan said with a smile. Did you know that our ancestor has adopted a goddaughter? Ning Yuan asked again. I know. The old ancestor told me about it. Ning Haolan replied honestly. Oh, that girl is very beautiful. Ning Yuan tried to start a conversation. I've heard from the ancestor. Uncle, what do you want to tell me? Don't beat around the bush. Ning Haolan chuckled. You should go and see she. She's your sister after all. Actually, there was something else that he did not say. He could not predict what would happen to Ning Xi'er after this competition, so he was very uneasy. After all, Ning Xi'er was the child he had doted on for so many years. He really didn't want to see her go down the wrong path. Uncle, you're wrong. My mother only gave birth to me, and I don't have a sister. Ning Haolan said coldly before turning around and leaving the meeting room. Chapter 1524. Instigating 1. Ning Yuan looked at Ning Haolan's back, his heart filled with mixed feelings. AI. He didn't know who his nephew had inherited his personality from. Not only was he stubborn and cold, but he also never got too close to his own clan. He didn't even like his only sister. Although this sister was his sister from a different mother, she was still his sister. He still hoped that the siblings could support each other, but unfortunately, this could only become his extravagant hope. In truth, the reason why he had been able to become the acting family head, and why his branch had been able to stand out from the rest of the family, was all because Ning Haolan had received special treatment from the old ancestor. As the acting family head, he had done it to protect Haolan. As such, he had hoped that his branch of family members would be united, or at least not drag Haolan down. After a few years, their branch had also produced many more elites. He was rather pleased with this. However, he still could not let go of the relationship between the Haolan siblings. However, he knew very well that this kind of thing could not be rushed. After all, this was a terrible debt from the previous generation. It was not very possible to settle it. After Ning Haolan left the meeting hall, he immediately returned to his own residence, Lan Garden. As he walked into the courtyard, he saw a handsome young master dressed in snow-white clothes. He was sitting under the moon and drinking tea with a carefree expression. An attendant was standing respectfully not far away. You are quite carefree. Ning Haolan smiled and sat down across from the young man in white. What else? The white-robed man, who was floating like a deity, raised his sword-like eyebrows and smiled evilly. Cheng Xian, has anyone ever told you not to smile so casually? You look like you're asking for a beating. Ning Haolan rolled his eyes at the man in white and said seriously, this guy is really a source of trouble. From time to time, he would smile like that. Which woman could stand it? Fortunately, he was not a woman. Otherwise, she would have long given up on him. No, I didn't. The white-robed man, who was also the Cheng Xian Ning Haolan was referring to, laughed even more heartily. Not only that, but he also kept throwing seductive glances at Ning Haolan, causing the latter to shiver and his hair to stand on end. You're smiling at me, so I'm going to beat you up. Ning Haolan couldn't take it anymore. He once again doubted whether it was the right decision to bring this dissolute fellow back. If he was trying to seduce them, wouldn't the women in his clan suffer? Beat me up. Can you bear to? Cheng Xian deliberately paused before smiling. Why don't you try it? Ning Haolan gritted his teeth at Cheng Xian's words. This guy's too despicable. He's even taking liberties with me. I don't need to try to know that you can't bear to beat me up. Cheng Xian said a little narcissistically, his handsome face still a little red. He lowered his eyes and peeked at Ning Haolan from time to time, perfectly acting like a shy admirer. However, the way he acted as if he had just seen his sweetheart disgusted Ning Haolan so much that he wanted to puke. Although he was not interested in women, he was not interested in men either. What was even more infuriating was that he knew that this guy was just pretending to disgust him, But he couldn't do anything to Cheng Xian, because Cheng Xian was cunning. He wouldn't just stand there and let him beat him up like an idiot. In addition, there was no difference in strength between the two of them, so even if he beat Cheng Xian up, he wouldn't be able to get anything out of it. Since that was the case, he naturally would not waste his energy. However, he became angry again when he saw Cheng Xian. He glared at Cheng Xian for a long time before he stood up and walked back to his room without looking back. No matter how Cheng Xian called him from behind, he pretended not to hear him. Cheng Xian watched Ning Haolan's back as he left, deep in thought. This guy couldn't be really angry, right? He wasn't such a petty person. However, no matter what, she still had to coax him tomorrow. After all, she still had to stay with the Ning family for a while, and she couldn't afford to offend Ning Haolan. With this plan in mind, Cheng Xian knocked on Ning Haolan's door the next day at first light. Ning Haolan was just about to wash up when he saw that it was Cheng Xian who had knocked on the door. He was taken aback for a moment before he spoke up. "What are you doing here?" His face was full of suspicion. Why did this guy wake up so early? It's definitely not good. "I missed you, so I came to see you," Cheng Xian said with a smile. Cheng Xian's words caused Ning Haolan to shiver unconsciously, goosebumps rising all over his body. All the hair on his body stood on end as he glared at Cheng Xian warily. "What the hell are you doing? I'm not playing any tricks." Cheng Xian looked aggrieved. He blinked his beautiful eyes and his long eyelashes drooped, making him look unlovable. "Then what are you doing in my room so early in the morning?" Ning Haolan asked helplessly. If it weren't for the fact that the two of them had known each other since they were young, and that he knew Cheng Xian was a real man, he would have suspected that Cheng Xian was a woman in disguise. "Didn't I say I missed you?" Cheng Xian's eyes were wide open as he stared at Ning Haolan in disbelief. His focused expression made Ning Haolan's hair stand on end. "Why did you miss me?" Ning Haolan gritted his teeth and asked hatefully, "Fuck? Don't be so flirtatious. I'm really not interested in men. Of course I like you. Have you ever seen anyone think of someone they don't like?" Cheng Xian said with a fawning expression. "I don't like you, so don't miss me." Ning Haolan could not take it any longer. He felt like this guy was driving him crazy. It was a good morning, and he was here to talk crazy things to him. This guy must be crazy too. "Haolan, how could you do this to me?" Cheng Xian looked at Ning Haolan with a bitter expression, his clear eyes glistening with tears. "I'm going to meet the ancestor." Ning Haolan took a deep breath when he saw Cheng Xian's reaction. He kept telling himself to stay calm and not to be affected by this mentally unstable guy, because he was afraid that he would lose control and beat Cheng Xian up. After he finished speaking, he ignored Cheng Xian and left the room. Seeing his young master standing in the room in a daze, Cheng Xian's attendant couldn't help but advise him. "Young master, one day, young master Ning will understand your feelings." Although he didn't approve of same-sex love, as long as young master liked it, he would support it to the end. And Cheng Xian nodded. Cheng Xian had thought that his servant was only saying that Ning Haolan would understand that he was just trying to coax him, but who knew that they were just talking nonsense? They were not talking about the same thing at all. However, what he did not expect even more was that not long after that, rumors about him and Ning Haolan had started to spread. After Ning Haolan went to the forbidden area in the back mountain, he didn't see the old ancestor who was in a bad mood, so he could only return to the land garden in a daze. In less than 2 days, the Ning family's family competition had officially begun. On the day of the competition, Grape followed Lung Ruoxia's instructions and knocked on her door. "Miss, the Ning family's competition has begun," Grape said softly after entering the room. Chapter 1525, Instigating 2, Yes. Lung Ruoxia, who was sitting on a chair, nodded in response. She then stood up and left the room with Grape. "Miss, the master of the Ning family has been wanting to see you for the past few days," Grape said as she walked. Although Miss didn't tell her what she was doing in the room these few days, she knew very well that Miss was not angry. Miss was so busy, how could she have the time to sulk? "Then what did you say?" Lung Ruoxia asked with a smile. "Tell me the truth. Miss has ordered that no one is allowed to disturb us, so we don't dare to disobey." However, Master Ning thinks that you're angry with him, so he has been very uneasy these days. At the end of the story, Grape couldn't help but laugh, because he suddenly remembered Master Ning's uneasy look. It was too funny. Lung Ruoxia's mood brightened when she heard Grape's description. In fact, she had been sharpening her spear in the last few days. She did not tell Grape what she was doing, because she wanted to teach her godfather a little lesson. It was her godfather's fault for wanting to watch a good show. How could he not pay the price? After walking for a while, the three of them arrived at Master Ning's residence. At this time, Master Ning was like an ant on a hot pan, constantly pacing in circles in the courtyard. Godfather. Lung Ruoxia chuckled when she saw Master Ning's expression. Swear you bad girl. When Master Ning heard Lung Ruoxia's voice, he quickly turned around and looked at her with a face full of resentment. Shui, what have you been doing these past few days? The first elder next to Master Ning couldn't help but ask. I'm cultivating. Lung Ruoxia said with a smile. Bad girl, you didn't even tell us about your cultivation. You made us so worried. The master of the Ning family complained. Hee, Godfather. Actually, I came up with this idea at the last minute. Even Grape and Lotus Seed didn't know about it. Lung Ruoxia said with a smile. Little girl, how's your cultivation these few days? There's no problem, right? The first elder asked with concern. The spiritual energy in the divinity was not that easy to absorb. However, this little freak could not be treated with common sense. Hence, he was not surprised that Lung Ruoxia was cultivating in the divinity. It's all right, no problem. Lung Ruoxia chuckled. Bad girl, your current strength is too low. It's better for you to absorb less spiritual energy from the divine realm. The master of the Ning family warned. Even though the spiritual energy in the main residence and the forbidden area had been purified, it was not as gentle as the spiritual energy in the godly mainland. Hence, he was afraid that Lung Ruoxia would feel the slightest bit of discomfort. After all, they could not watch her when she was cultivating. If something really happened, he was afraid that it would be too late. Well, actually, I was cultivating in the house that the Great Elder gave me. So you can be 120% at ease. Lung Ruoxia consoled. That's good. The master of the Ning family and the Great Elder said in relief. Godfather, when are we going to the competition venue? Lung Ruoxia asked eagerly. There were many geniuses in the Ning family, and it seemed like she would be able to feast her eyes this time. Let's go now. Seeing how anxious Lung Ruoxia was, Master Ning's mood also became joyful. Just as everyone was about to head to the competition grounds, a soft and sweet voice suddenly rang out in Lung Ruoxia's heart. Sister, I want to see it too. This sound came from the little white tiger in the house. Although they were in the house, they were aware of everything that was happening in the outside world. Hearing that there was a competition, the young white tiger was curious. I also want to see it. Another childlike voice was heard. Good. All of you take a look. Lung Ruoxia said helplessly. She really had no way to reject the request of these two adorable little things. With a change of thought, she moved them out of the house. Seeing the black and white furballs that had suddenly appeared in Lung Ruoxia's arms, Master Ning and Grand Elder were stunned, but they did not show much surprise. They had already heard that there was a tiger couple who had come with Lung Ruoxia this time, and they even brought two children. The two little furballs in Lung Ruoxia's arms were not even the size of a palm. They were chubby and silly, looking very cute. The two old men's hearts were itching as they looked at them. Little girl, let me hug you. Without waiting for the master of the Ning family to speak, the first elder spoke first. The longer they lived, the more they liked these young and simple children, so these two newborn little tigers immediately aroused their love. Moreover, the two also knew that they almost died back then, so they had more tender love for these two cute little guys. All right. Lung Ruoxia handed the little furball in her arms to the Great Elder. She knew that the Great Elder liked children. If it wasn't for the fact that Baby and Qiuqiu were in closed-door cultivation, she would probably be in their arms again. Hee. What an adorable little fellow. The Great Elder held the two little round furballs in his arms. He touched one and looked at the other, and his heart melted into a pool of water. The two little guys were not shy with strangers, rolling around happily in the great elder's arms, constantly acting cute. The master of the Ning family was envious. Without a word, he directly took the little black tiger into his arms and spoke to the little guy very kindly. Swear, don't these two little fellows have names? The master of the Ning family thought for a while before asking. Name? I really don't have any. Lung Ruoxue thought for a moment and felt a little embarrassed. It had been so long since these two little fellows were born, but they had actually forgotten to give them names. Since you don't have a name, Grandpa will give you one. Let's just call him Little Black. After Master Ning finished speaking, he raised his head and looked at First Elder and Lung Ruoxue proudly. Then you shall be called Little White. The great elder was not to be outdone. He thought to himself, you name me Little Black, and I'll name myself Little White. It'll save us all the trouble. When Lung Ruoxue heard the names that the two of them had come up with, she could not help but feel a few dark streaks rolling down her forehead. She thought to herself, Godfather and Great Elder are really lazy. She had thought that they would give these two little fellows a nice name. Who knew that she would call them according to their colors? This was her usual method, okay? This was blatant infringement of copyright. In fact, what she didn't know was that the reason why the master of the Ning family had such a simple name was because he had too many descendants. In the beginning, he would seriously think of names, but as he had more children, he became numb to it, so much so that the names of his descendants were all randomly chosen. As for the Great Elder, he was a lazy person who did things as he pleased. It was harder than ascending to heaven for him to seriously think of a name. In the words of the Great Elder, a name was just a code name, and it didn't matter what it was called. Godfather, Great Elder. Little Black and Little White are both calling out like beasts. Lung Ruoxue sighed softly and reminded him unwillingly. I see. Then let's call this little fellow Xiaoxiaohe. This way, we'll know who we're referring to. The master of the Ning family thought for a second before saying. Chapter 1526. Instigating 3. Then you shall be called Xiao Xiaobai. The first elder chuckled. Just like that, the names of the two little tigers were confirmed. Lung Ruoxue did not want to argue with them anymore. Let's just call it that. A name was just a code name. She couldn't help but comfort herself. After giving the two little fellows their names, Lung Ruoxue and the rest made their way to the competition grounds. The competition venue was arranged in the training ground of the Ning family's main residence. There were 5 training grounds in the Ning family's main residence. Originally, 1 training ground was enough for the competition. However, because of the Ning family's master's golden permission, all the members of the Ning family who met the conditions could participate in the family competition, regardless of whether they were direct or collateral relatives. In this way, 1 training ground was obviously not enough for the competition. The third elder in charge of the family competition, after communicating with the master of the Ning family, arranged a main venue and 4 secondary venues. The main venue was naturally set in the largest training ground of the Ning family. In addition, the Ning family's 5 training grounds were not very far away, so the main stage was set up in the main venue, and the deputy venue only had 3 judges and some audience seats. However, because the initial stage was only the preliminary stage, the 5 venues were held at the same time, and in the middle and late stages of the competition, all the games were held in the main venue. Lung Ruoxue followed the Ning family head to the VIP seats in the main arena. The audience seats were already full. As it was an internal competition, almost all the people who came to watch were from the Ning family. Many of them also wanted to compete, but it was not their turn yet. Although they were family members, they had to know each other. After all, this kind of competition would directly determine their future. So not only the direct family members, but even the Ning family members from the collateral branch, they were also holding back their energy, wanting to show off in the competition. It must be known that such an opportunity was too rare for them. Chua, do you want to go and compete? Looking at the energetic and high-spirited descendants, Master Ning was very pleased. He then thought of Lung Ruoxue. In fact, he did this to see the difference between his descendants and Lung Ruoxue. After all, in his eyes, other than Shui Er's strength, she was better than his descendants in all aspects. Godfather. I've already accepted Miss Wu's challenge. Lung Ruoxue reminded him with a faint smile. The meaning between the lines was clear, but Master Ning pretended to be stupid. These are two different things. It won't hinder you. Master Ning said with a smile. Godfather. I'm only a mid-level deity, so I know my own limits. Lung Ruoxue continued. Ai. This little girl was too cunning. However, seeing that she really didn't want to participate, the master of the Ning family didn't continue to force her. In fact, he knew very well that once this girl had decided on something, no one could force her. She wasn't someone who would easily change her mind, so he could only place his hopes on her and Ning Xier's competition. However, he had arranged for that competition to be at the end. There was still a long time to wait. Not long after, the competition officially began. Because it was only the preliminary stage, there were not many highlights of the competition. Those who were slightly stronger basically won in one move, and those who were equally strong did not fight more than 100 moves. After all, the Ning family's competition was never determined by one move, so there was no need for them to continue fighting. However, because the first stage of the competition was relatively easy, those who were slightly relaxed had the opportunity to gossip. The main stage was divided into two parts. One part was for the honored guests. Those who were qualified to sit here were basically elders and above. Lung Ruoxue, who was sitting in the middle, was definitely an exception because she was only a mid-stage deity. However, it was the master of the Ning family who brought her here, so even if others had any opinions, they could only keep them in their hearts and not dare to speak out. The other part of the rostrum was located opposite the VIP seats. This south and north were the best seats in the main venue. However, not just any Ning family member was qualified to sit here. Those who could sit here had a certain status in the Ning family, and were even more favored. The fifth daughter of the Ning family, Ning Xier, who had challenged Lung Ruoxue, was also arranged to sit here. However, she was seated in the middle of all the daughters of the Ning family, and she was rather restless. Why was Aunt Yin arranged to sit here? I thought you'd be sitting with the ancestor. Ning Xier said sarcastically as she stared at Lung Ruoxue with jealousy. However, Ning Yin did not respond to her. Aunt Yin is old forefather's favorite daughter. How can old forefather treat Aunt Yin like this? Ning Xier said indignantly. What are you trying to say? Ning Yin lifted her eyelids and asked indifferently. Although she was less than 100 years old, she had a very high seniority. All the maidservants in the family, regardless of their seniority, called her aunt. In fact, this was what she had asked them to call her. After all, she did not want to be called old. Aunt Yin. The ancestor has acknowledged a goddaughter and doted on her a lot. So many people in the clan are saying that you have lost favor. Now that you are sitting here, I'm afraid that the rumor is about to come true. Ning Xier asked with concern. Do you all think so too? Ning Yin narrowed her eyes and asked the other girls. However, none of the girls dared to answer her because they knew Ning Yan's temper too well, and were all afraid of her. They could say this in private, but they didn't dare to say it in front of Ning Yan. It seems like you're the only one who thinks this way. Ning Yan said with a faint smile. Aunt Yin. Many people think so, but they don't dare to say it out loud. However, I can't bear to see Aunt Yin being deceived, so I have to say it. Ning said with I am doing this for your own good expression. It seems that I have to thank I'm really touched that you're so considerate of me. Ning Yin sneered. She knew what Ning Xier was thinking. Actually, it was not up to them to decide who her father wanted to love. Besides, she was her father's biological daughter. Even if her father loved Lung Ruoxue, how could he not care about her life? Therefore, she had already accepted everything, so why would she fight for this little bit of love? However, Ning Xier, a little girl, actually dared to play such a trick on her. Did she really think she was a soft persimmon? She knew that she had been keeping a low profile recently, and even her father had not shown much concern for her. As a result, some snobbish clan members thought that she had fallen out of favor. Now a little girl even dared to scheme against her. If she did not teach Ning a lesson, would she still be considered the eldest miss of the Ning family in the eyes of outsiders? It's Xier's duty to care for Aunt Ning Shi-er, who didn't notice anything strange, tried to hide the pride in her heart. Chapter 1527. The Wicked filed a lawsuit. 1. Ant will remember Shi-er's good deeds. Ning Yan then focused on the match. After Ning Shi-er had incited a fight, she realized that Ning Yan seemed to have ignored her words. She was annoyed, but she couldn't urge Ning Yan to find trouble with Lung Ruoxue, so she could only reluctantly suppress her dissatisfaction and watch the competition absent-mindedly, glaring at Lung Ruoxue from time to time. Lung Ruoxue, who was sitting in the VIP area, felt a faint resentful gaze. She raised her beautiful eyes to look at the rostrum opposite her, and revealed a faint smile. Godfather, I'm going to see Brother Ning Hai. Lung Ruoxue whispered to Master Ning. Yes, he should be in the third arena, the master of the Ning family said. After he finished speaking, he gave Ning Yan a look. Ning Yan understood and brought Lung Ruoxue to the third arena. When they arrived at the third arena, Lung Ruoxue found Ning Hai's seat and sat down beside him. Ruoxue, you're here, Ning Hai said happily when he saw Lung Ruoxue. Big brother Ning, when are you going to fight? Lung Ruoxue asked curiously. I have to wait until the afternoon. However, Ning Shan's match is coming soon. Ning Hai said a little excitedly. The competition this time was divided according to age, and Ning Shan was young, so the competition was naturally ahead of the others. How's his fighting spirit? Lung Ruoxue asked with a chuckle. Ever since she had moved to the forbidden area with her godfather, she had had fewer chances to see Ning Shan. Furthermore, the two of them did not have the chance to speak at the banquet the last time. Hence, she did not know how the little fellow was doing. Very high fighting spirit. However, I've also told him not to underestimate the enemy. Although it's only a competition within the family, there may be accidents. Ning Hai said worriedly. This is only the first stage of the competition. There shouldn't be any problems. Lung Ruoxue consoled him. She knew what Ning Hai was worried about. Although she didn't dare to say that Ning Hai was oversensitive, it would be too uncouth if he used underhanded means on the first day of the competition. I hope so. Ning Hai nodded. Actually, it wasn't that he was worried for nothing. He was more aware than Lung Ruoxue how intense the competition within the great clans was. Many people would do anything to stand out. However, he couldn't say this out loud. After all, this was an internal competition of the Ning family. If he really said it, wouldn't he be a joke? As Lung Ruoxue and Ning Hai chatted, they observed the situation on the stage. Not long after, it was finally Ning Shan's turn to compete. Lung Ruoxue looked at Ning Shan, who was full of fighting spirit, and a faint smile appeared on her lips. Although Ning Shan usually looked like a child, he seemed to be a completely different person when he was on the stage. Furthermore, from what she knew, Ning Shan grew up in the divinity. He was only in his early 20s, but his cultivation had already reached the level of a deity. From this, it could be seen that his aptitude was not ordinary. She knew very well that if Ning Shan's aptitude was ordinary, it would be very difficult for him to stay in the divinity to cultivate. Ning Shan, who was on the arena, was indeed as high-spirited as Lung Ruoxue had said. Furthermore, his opponent was also a deity. However, his abilities were not as strong as his. Hence, he was confident that he could easily win the first match. The opportunity this time was given to them by their old ancestor, so he had to seize it. There were many branch family members in the Ning family. In the past, if the branch family members wanted to have a place in the family, it was difficult to stand out unless they made a great contribution. However, even if they made a great contribution, it was hard to say whether it would fall on their heads. Now the ancestor had given them a rare opportunity. Therefore, almost all the branch family members were rubbing their fists and wiping their palms, wanting to get a good result in this competition. After all, such an opportunity was too rare for them. Ning Shan was full of confidence. The fire attribute divine power in his hand danced in the air like a dazzling fire dragon. The repeated attacks quickly forced his opponent to have nowhere to hide. When his opponent saw that he was losing, his opponent, who thought that he was unaware and did not notice, raised his hand and a light blue divine power floated towards Ning Shan. In the next second, Ning Shan covered his eyes and fell to the ground. Arg! My eyes hurt. Shan, who had fallen to the ground, could not help but cry out in pain, while his opponent stood on the ring proudly, as if it was none of his business. Seeing Ning Shan's appearance, Ning Hai, who was sitting in the audience, stood up immediately and was about to rush to the ring. Big brother Ning, you can't go up. Lung Ruoxue, who had also stood up, pulled back the impulsive Ning Hai. If big brother Ning rushed up to the ring now, people might make a fuss about it. She didn't want big brother Ning to lose this rare opportunity to show his face. Ruoxue. He. Ning Hai's heart was burning with anxiety as he tried to break free from Lung Ruoxue's grasp and rush up to the arena. Oh, go see him, don't worry. With me around, he won't be in any trouble. Lung Ruoxue consoled. After hearing Lung Ruoxue's words, the anxious Ning Hai miraculously calmed down. He had complete trust in Lung Ruoxue and nodded at her. Then he watched as Lung Ruoxue walked up the stage. In the competition arena, the other matches were still ongoing. Furthermore, this was only the first match. Hence, there were not many people watching. Hence, many people did not notice the small incident that happened on Ning Shan's challenge ring. It was only when Lung Ruoxue walked up the challenge ring calmly that everyone's attention was drawn over. Although many people had only met this adopted daughter of the ancestor once, for the Ning family, the nouveau riche by the ancestor's side was something they could not ignore. However, at this moment, most of the people did not know why Lung Ruoxue had walked onto the stage. It was because the competition had yet to end, and this was against the rules. After Lung Ruoxue walked up to the stage, she first checked on Ning Shan's injuries. At this moment, Ning Shan's face was already covered in blood, and he looked like he was drenched in blood. Furthermore, fresh blood was flowing out from his eyes continuously. Ning Shan, who was rolling on the ground in pain, felt someone approaching him and instinctively grabbed onto Lung Ruoxue's sleeve. He kept on shouting, "It hurts. It hurts. Shana, don't be afraid. With me here, you'll be fine." Lung Ruoxue held Ning Shan's hand and consoled him. "Sister. Ruoxue. I'm in pain. Am I blind?" Ning Shan said fearfully. "Don't be silly. I won't let anything happen to you." Lung Ruoxue promised. With that, she took out an elixir and stuffed it into Ning Shan's mouth. This elixir was used to treat internal injuries. After Ning Shan ate the elixir, his injuries would not hurt as much. However, from the outside, his injuries were still shocking. Blood was also flowing out from his eyes. Then Lung Ruoxue turned her gaze to Ning Shan's opponent. Ning Shan's opponent was a young man who looked to be in his early 20s. He was quite handsome, but the arrogant expression on his face made it impossible for people to have a good impression of him. Not only that, but he was also looking at Ning Shan with disdain. His gaze towards Lung Ruoxue was not very friendly either. Chapter 1528. The Wicked filed a lawsuit too. "Judge, can you announce the result now?" The young man looked away and turned to the judge. The judge looked at Lung Ruoxue, his innocent eyes filled with embarrassment. He really wanted to announce the results of the competition, but he was afraid that Lung Ruoxue would have an opinion. Hence, it was not appropriate for him to announce the results immediately. After all, he had not figured out Lung Ruoxue's motive for coming up. Furthermore, this woman was someone he could not afford to offend. Hence, he remained silent. The person who was competing with Ning Shan was a direct descendant of the Ning family. His elder held a high position in the Ning family. He was not someone that a small judge like him could afford to offend. Furthermore, Lung Ruoxue was old grandmadame's goddaughter. He could not afford to offend her. Well, what should he do? Originally, Ning Shan was from a branch family and did not have any strong backing. If nothing went wrong, he could have directly decided the outcome of the competition. However, an accident happened. Lung Ruoxue's interference made him not know what to do. "Has the competition ended?" Lung Ruoxue asked with a smile. "Of course it's over." Before the judge could answer, the young man spoke first. "You're the judge." Lung Ruoxue's beautiful face was filled with confusion. "Of course I'm not," the young man said through gritted teeth. He knew that nothing good would come from this woman's visit, and he who did not want to cause any more trouble, had met with an accident. What he did not expect even more was that Ning Shan, who he thought did not have any background, would actually have Lung Ruoxue as a backer. However, so what if she was the elder ancestor's goddaughter? She was still an outsider. How could she reach her hand into the Ning family's head? Moreover, it wasn't as if he didn't have any backing. When he thought of this, he didn't take Lung Ruoxue too seriously. Since you're not the judge, how can you say that the game is over? Lung Ruoxue said with a hint of mockery. As it was only the preliminary round, the Ning family had only arranged for one judge to decide the outcome. In reality, the so-called judge was just for show. After all, it was easy to determine the outcome of this kind of internal competition. The purpose of setting up the judge was to be a witness, and to prevent any disputes between the two sides. It was rare for a fight to the death to happen in a family competition. Many people would take the initiative to follow the rules of the competition. However, it did not rule out the possibility that there would be a small number of people who would ignore the rules. Hence, the role of the judges would be revealed at this time. What Lung Ruoxue said was just to highlight the position of the judges. Even if it's a family competition, there's a time limit. He's already been on the ground for more than 15 minutes, so the competition is naturally over. The young man said matter-of-factly, "Is that so?" Lung Ruoxue laughed coldly as her beautiful eyes swept across the young man. Her gaze caused the young man's heart to tremble as an ominous feeling slowly rose in his heart. He did not know what Lung Ruoxue was up to. That collateral relative had been lying on the ground for more than 15 minutes, and everyone's eyes were bright. At this moment, it was reasonable for the judge to announce Ning Shan's loss. Even if Lung Ruoxue wanted to stand up for Ning Shan, it was unlikely that she could turn the tables. However, for some reason he had a bad feeling in his heart, which made him feel very uneasy. Of course, the young man held on. At this moment, his heart was already drenched in cold sweat. He had not expected Lung Ruoxue to give him so much pressure. This was too abnormal. In that case, I'd like to ask the judge, did the rules of the competition say that we're not allowed to win by using improper means? When Lung Ruoxue heard the young man's words, she turned her head to the judge at the side. There are. The judge wiped the cold sweat from his forehead and spoke the truth. Although there was such a rule in the competition, whether or not it could be followed depended on the person. In addition, if someone violated the rules of the competition, there must be sufficient evidence. Otherwise, everything would be empty talk. However, if anyone wanted to use improper means in the competition, how could they be easily discovered? Hence, this rule was practically non-existent. However, since Lung Ruoxue had asked, he had no choice but to answer. If someone is found to be using improper means, how will they be dealt with? Lung Ruoxue continued to ask. The person involved will be disqualified from the competition. Furthermore, the family will also punish him. The judge whispered in fear. Then please disqualify this person from the competition. Lung Ruoxue said coldly. The cold glint in her beautiful eyes was like a blade as it shot towards the young man. Don't you dare. The young man roared in anger as he glared at Lung Ruoxue. Isn't that the rule of the competition? You have to be a good child who follows the rules. Otherwise, you'll be unlucky. Lung Ruoxue said with a smile. What right do you have to make him cancel my match? You said I broke the rules, where's the evidence? The young man said, unwilling to give up. You're wrong. I didn't ask him to cancel your competition. It's because you violated the rules of the competition. As for the evidence, if you want it, I'll give it to you. Lung Ruoxue laughed lightly, but in her heart, she despised this man. This guy really wouldn't give up until he reached the Yellow River. Did he really think that he could not find any evidence? The judge on the side listened to the two people's verbal battle, and wanted to cry but had no tears. How could he be so unlucky to meet these two people? Why was it that everyone else's arena was safe and sound, but something had happened to his own? Moreover, these two parties were people he could not afford to offend. Sigh. What should he do? He was at a loss. Then show me the evidence. Otherwise, I'll sue you for false accusation. Even if you have the ancestor's support, I'll still beg the ancestor to give me an explanation. The young man said hatefully, but he wasn't worried at all. He was certain that Lung Ruoxue wouldn't be able to find any evidence. Miss Lung, please show us the evidence. Otherwise, I can only conclude that Ning Duan has won. At this time, the conflicted judge also spoke. At this moment, everyone's eyes were fixed on Lung Ruoxue, but most of them were waiting to watch a good show. At the same time, in an unremarkable corner of the audience, two extremely handsome men were also observing the situation on Lung Ruoxue's arena. Hey, what do you think is going on? Did that Ning Duan really use improper methods? Cheng Xian asked with a face full of curiosity. He looked at Lung Ruoxue with eyes full of interest. Isn't that normal? Don't tell me that your Qing family doesn't have these messy things. Ning Haolan, who was standing beside him, asked in disbelief. Ehe. There's no need to say it out loud. Cheng Xian said a little awkwardly. Living in a big family, who didn't have some tricks up their sleeves? If he had been so honest, he probably wouldn't have survived. However, I'm very curious if that beauty can find any evidence. Since that Ning Duan used some sort of method, it won't be so easy to find him. Cheng Xian said. Just keep watching and you'll know. Ning Haolan said with a smile. Chapter 1529. The Wicked filed a lawsuit 3. By the way, who's that beauty? How come I didn't know that your Ning family had such a stunning beauty? Cheng Xian asked with great interest. If I'm not wrong, she should be the goddaughter acknowledged by the ancestor. Ning Haolan said after some thought. Arg. Then wouldn't you have to call her great-aunt? That woman looks very young. Cheng Xian was surprised, but at the same time, he was also gloating. You have to call her great-aunt too. Ning Haolan rolled his eyes at Cheng Xian and reminded him. Tieste. She's not even a member of my Qing family. Why should I call her great-aunt? Cheng Xian felt a chill run down his spine. He couldn't let Ning Haolan get in his way at this point, or he'd be the one to die. Because she's the goddaughter of my family's ancestor. She's very senior. Ning Haolan laughed evilly. He didn't mind having another woman like her, but he knew that Cheng Xian wouldn't be happy about it, so he tried his best to use this to hurt him. That's none of my business, right? Cheng Xian was a little speechless. He thought to himself, what does your ancestor's goddaughter have to do with me? A member of the Chung family? It wasn't like the Chung family's ancestor acknowledged him. What if your ancestor introduces her to your ancestor? Ning Haolan said with a smile. Cheng Xian didn't know what to say, because he knew that it wasn't impossible. Let's see how your ancestor's goddaughter will solve this problem. Cheng Xian didn't want to discuss Lung Ruoxue's seniority anymore, so he changed the topic to the arena. All right, Ning Haolan smiled. Actually, he was quite interested in Lung Ruoxue. On the stage, Lung Ruoxue did not directly produce any evidence. Instead, her beautiful eyes were fixed on Ning Duan, making him feel uncomfortable. Hurry up and show us the evidence. Don't delay other people's matches. Ning Duan felt his hair stand on end and couldn't help but roar. What's the rush? Are you feeling guilty? The smile on Lung Ruoxue's lips bloomed, instantly captivating the eyes of countless people. Ning Duan, who was the closest to her, also had a dazed look on his face, unable to regain his senses for a long time. By the time he came back to his senses, he realized that he had been mesmerized by Lung Ruoxue's smile. The anger in his heart surged up in an instant, and he could not accept the fact that Lung Ruoxue was in a daze. Who asked him to already have someone he liked? And Lung Ruoxue happened to be the person that person hated the most. Hurry up and show us the evidence. Ning Duan urged in annoyance. Since you're so eager, I'll fulfill your wish. Lung Ruoxue smiled and walked to Ning Shan's side. She helped him up and said to everyone, Everyone, I believe that everyone's eyes are clear. The previous situation was very favorable to Ning Shan, and he was sure to win. However, he suddenly fell to the ground. This is not because young master Ning Duan suddenly showed his power, but because he used an improper method, because he poisoned Ning Shan. Don't you slander me with your nonsense. Do you have evidence? Ning Duan roared, his face filled with grievance. Everyone, you'll know if you look at Ning Shan's eyes. His eyes have been injured by poison, and the blood flowing out now is black. As Lung Ruoxue spoke, She raised Ningxian's head. Instantly, the black blood on Ningxian's face was revealed to everyone. Furthermore, the blood on Ningxian's face was a mix of red and black, making him look even more horrifying. The people who saw this couldn't help but suck in a breath of cold air. Ning Hai was even more patient and didn't rush up to the ring directly, because he believed in Wuxia. He believed that she wouldn't let her brother suffer. As an elder brother, he was really too useless. Just because he didn't like some people in the family, he had left home for many years. Until now, he had achieved nothing. He couldn't give his parents and younger brother a support. When he thought of this, his heart ached as if it was being cut by a knife. However, at this moment he was determined to have his own place in the family. This family competition was his greatest opportunity, so he must grasp it well. This can't prove that I was the one who poisoned her, Ning Duan said unhurriedly when he saw this. Moreover, there was no panic on his face at all. Why can't I? You're the one who injured him. Lung Ruoxua indifferently reminded. Isn't it normal to get injured in battle? What's the big deal? Ning Duan's face was full of disapproval. His words clearly meant that Lung Ruoxua was making a mountain out of a molehill. Not only is Ningxian injured, but he's also poisoned. Otherwise, it's hard to say who would win this game. Lung Ruoxua said calmly. I admit that I injured him by accident, but his poisoning has nothing to do with me. Ning Duan said, trying to deny himself. Then who is it related to? Lung Ruoxua asked with a half-smile. How would I know? Besides, who can prove that he was poisoned when he was fighting with me? Didn't you give him a pill? I was going to say that you were the one who poisoned me, and that you came here to frame me. Ning Duan said with a hint of provocation as he looked at Lung Ruoxua with a smug look. It was a good thing he did not panic, or else he would have fallen into this woman's trap. As soon as he finished speaking, the crowd in the audience could not help but start to discuss softly. In fact, quite a number of people even felt that what Ning Duan said made sense, and the way they looked at Lung Ruoxua also became subtle. This time your great aunt is in trouble. Not only did she not seek justice for that little guy, but she also became a suspect. Poor thing. Cheng Xian, who was sitting in the corner, said on purpose. His handsome face was full of sympathy. Put away your fake kindness. She doesn't need your sympathy. Ning Haolan replied calmly. Actually, he was more curious about how Lung Ruoxua was going to turn the situation around. It was obvious to all that she had fed Ningxian a pill, and she could not deny it. With this handle, Ning Duan would definitely not let it go. Hence, he wanted to know how Lung Ruoxua was going to deal with it. However, the great ancestor would not take in a brainless goddaughter, so he still had some confidence in Lung Ruoxua. I'm really kind and I really pity her. The current situation seemed to be very disadvantageous to her. If Ning Duan really wanted to put a basin of shit on her head, who do you think your Ning clansmen would believe? Now, not only did Lung Ruoxua have to prove that the little guy's poison was poisoned by Ning, but she also had to prove her innocence. Otherwise, just the crime of framing a direct descendant of the Ning family was enough to make her suffer. When that time came, even the Ning family's old ancestor would not be able to protect her. Want you know if you keep watching? Ning Haolan said. He still believed that Lung Ruoxua would have a solution. After Ning Haolan finished speaking, the two of them stopped talking. Instead, they turned their attention back to the arena, continuing to observe the development of the situation. That sounds reasonable. However, I can't get my hands on the medicine. At this moment, Lung Ruoxua, who was on the stage, was still very calm. Chapter 1530. Making the Antidote. 1. After the judge heard Lung Ruoxia's words, he looked at the poison that Ningxian had been poisoned. He then turned around and left the arena. He was very clear that this was not something he could handle. Not long after, the third elder arrived at the arena with the judge. What's going on? The third elder asked, feigning ignorance. On the way here, the judge had already briefly reported the situation to him. This matter had given him quite a headache. Furthermore, he did not dare to let the old grand madam know about this. After all, it involved Lung Ruoxua, and he was afraid that the old grand madam would be angry. Hence, according to his original intention, he wanted to minimize the matter. Third grandpa. She poisoned a member of the Ning family and wanted to push the blame to me. Without waiting for Lung Ruoxue to speak, Ning Duan accused her. The third elder frowned at Ning Duan's words, clearly somewhat displeased. What does young lady Lung have to say? Third elder ignored Ning Duan and asked Lung Ruoxue instead. Ning Duan used abnormal methods in the competition in an attempt to win. I hope that third elder can handle this fairly and disqualify him. Lung Ruoxue's tone was cold. She did not mention anything about Ning Shan being poisoned at all, because she believed that this old man would know about it. What evidence do you have? You poisoned this guy and then wrongly accused me. Don't think I don't know what you're thinking. You just want to help him, don't you? If you're not as good as him, you've lost. You can't even afford to lose. Our Ning family doesn't have such a clansman. Ning Duan yelled at the top of his lungs. His voice even choked up as if he had truly suffered a great grievance. Lung Ruoxue looked at his dramatic performance without saying a word. However, a cold smile surfaced in her heart. Could it be that this fellow thought that by pretending to be wronged, this matter would be over? In your dreams. As the third elder listened to Ning Duan's seemingly aggrieved words, he gradually began to feel irritated. What the hell is this? Why did he have to do it? Although he really didn't want to get involved in this matter, he couldn't just leave it be. After all, the adopted daughter of the ancestor was also involved. Ning Duan. Don't speak first, I want to hear what Miss Lung has to say. The third elder sighed and slowly said, Miss Lung, what is your explanation for Ning Duan's words? The third elder asked again. Third elder, first take a look at what poison Ning Shan has been poisoned with. Lung Ruoxue suggested. All right. The third elder nodded, then bent down to examine Ning Shan carefully. After a long time, he stood up with a serious face. It's the soul forgetfulness. Third elder, do you know where this poison is from? Lung Ruoxue asked again. This soul forgetting is the unique poison of our Ning family. The third elder replied honestly. The so-called forget the soul naturally meant to forget everything. To put it bluntly, this poison was not fatal, but it would turn people into fools. And this medicine, in the divine world, no one except the Ning family could concoct it. Therefore, it was not an exaggeration to say that it was the unique medicine of the Ning family. However, the forgotten soul had always been used by the Ning family to punish people who had committed a serious crime. Not to mention the collateral branch, even the direct line could not have it casually. Moreover, the Ning family had always been very strict with the management of the forgotten soul, so it was not easy to withdraw it. Therefore, the third elder could not understand how the forgotten soul could appear in the Ning family's family competition. When the crowd heard that Ning Shan had been poisoned with soul loss, they knew that it was impossible for Lung Ruoxue to be the one who poisoned him. However, someone did not think so. You actually used soul forgetting on a member of the Ning family. You're so bold. When Ning Duan heard that the poison was soul forgetting, he was also a little dumbfounded. However, after he regained his senses, he was very clear that he had to let Lung Ruoxue take the blame now. Otherwise, the Ning family would not let him off. Therefore, he had no intention of letting Lung Ruoxue go. Soul forgetting is your Ning family's unique poison. Where can I get it? Lung Ruoxue looked at Ning Duan with a mocking expression. You are the goddaughter of our ancestor. If you want to get Wang Hun, do you think you can't get it? Ning Duan questioned loudly. His words caused everyone to become suspicious of Lung Ruoxue again, because what Ning Duan said was right. Old Grand Madam loved this goddaughter so much. If she wanted to obtain the Ning family's forgotten soul, it would not be difficult. So you're suspecting that my godfather is a traitor? Lung Ruoxue looked at Ning Duan and asked with a cold gaze. I didn't mean that. What I meant was that you can get the forgotten soul. Ning Duan was shocked and hurriedly explained. All right. Let's assume that I can get the soul-forgetting item, but what about you? As a direct descendant of the Ning family, and having lived there for so many years, wouldn't it be easier for you to succeed than me, who has only been here for a few days? Lung Ruoxue's beautiful eyes scanned the surroundings before finally settling on Ning Duan. Don't you accuse me. How could I get the forgotten soul? Third elder, you can't just stand by and watch this woman malign me. You have to speak for me. Ning Duan stammered as he looked at the third elder with an aggrieved expression. Miss Lung Ning Duan, you don't need to argue. The forgotten soul is a unique poison of our Ning family. The control is very strict, and ordinary clansmen can't get it. Moreover, there is a record of anyone who has taken the forgotten soul. I will send someone to investigate and find out who took it. The third elder said helplessly. Good. Third elder, please send someone to investigate. Lung Ruoxue agreed. Third elder, you have to prove my innocence. Ning Duan also said. When he heard that the third elder was going to send someone to the warehouse to check the records, his heart actually relaxed. Because he had not sent anyone to retrieve the medicine, he naturally did not worry that he would be blamed. The third elder nodded, then sent a guard to the warehouse to check and retrieve the records. Not long after, the guard returned. Looking at the third elder, the guard's face turned awkward, not knowing how to start. Seeing the guard hesitating to speak, the third elder anxiously said, Did you find out? Who has used the forgotten soul recently? The guard nodded and had no choice but to speak under the watchful eyes of the crowd. I found it. Who is it? The third elder asked anxiously. He was worried to death when he saw the guard hesitating. Yesterday, the young master sent someone to the warehouse to retrieve the forgotten soul. The guard said carefully. The guard's words made the third elder dumbfounded. Why did the young master get involved? Fuck. It wasn't enough to get Lung Ruoxue involved, but now they had to drag their young master into this as well. What the hell was this? In fact, not only was he surprised, but many of the Ning family members present were also surprised because this result was really beyond their expectations. However, before the truth was revealed, they still planned to be patient and continue watching. As for Ning Haolan, who was sitting in the corner, his expression turned unfathomable when he heard the guard's words. He pursed his lips tightly and a dark light flashed in his eyes, making it impossible for anyone to tell what he was thinking. Chapter 1531. Refining the Antidote 2. You've sent someone to retrieve the forgotten soul? Cheng Xian asked curiously. Ning Haolan turned around and smiled faintly. Then he stood up and walked towards the arena. Hey! Cheng Xian was about to call out to Ning Haolan, but after a second thought, he stood up and headed straight for the ring. At this moment, third elder, who was in a dilemma and had a headache, felt his head throb when he saw Ning Haolan. Young master, what are you doing here? The third elder asked, forcing himself to remain calm. Third elder, I've been here since the start of the competition. Ning Haolan said with a faint smile. It was hard to tell whether he was happy or angry. After he finished speaking with third elder, he bent down to check on Ning Shan's injuries. Then he stood up and said, It's really soul-forgetting, young master. I've ordered the guards to go to the storeroom. The third elder did not finish his sentence, but he believed that Ning Haolan would understand what he meant. Third elder, you don't have to say anything. I didn't send anyone to retrieve the forgotten soul. Ning Haolan went straight to the point. Ning Haolan's words seemed to be within third elder's expectations. He turned to the guard and asked, What did the people in the warehouse say? The people in the warehouse said that it was young master's attendant who went to retrieve the soul. The guard said hurriedly. After he finished speaking, he lowered his head timidly. Ooh, the young master wouldn't hold a grudge against him, right? He was telling the truth. My personal attendant? Which one? Ning Haolan asked softly. It's Ningwen. The guard said. Call Ningwen over. Tell him that I have something to ask him. Ning Haolan ordered the guard coldly. Yes. The guard responded and turned to leave the arena. Third elder, don't worry. We'll know everything once we ask Ningwen. Ning Haolan said with a faint smile. Then he shifted his gaze to Lung Ruoxue and sized her up. It was undeniable that the woman in front of him was the most beautiful one he had ever seen. Be it her looks or temperament, she was the best. Furthermore, she had an innate pride. In fact, he couldn't even feel the slightest sense of superiority in front of her. In short, Lung Ruoxue was an outstanding woman. Other than her low cultivation, He couldn't find any flaws. As Ning Haolan sized up Leng Ruoxue, she did the same to him. She had heard the name of the Ning family's young master, Ning Haolan, from the great elder and godfather many times. However, this was her first time meeting Ning Haolan. She had not seen the genius young master of the Ning family in the divine mainland. Not only was Ning Haolan extremely handsome, but he also had outstanding talent. He was now a god king and was one of the best among the younger generation of the Ning family. He was also the leader of the younger generation. It was said that many of the younger members of the Ning family idolized him. However, he was now involved in the Forgotten Soul incident, so it was unknown if his prestige in the Ning family would be affected. Even though there was evidence that Ning Haolan had sent someone to retrieve the soul, she did not believe that he would use it in a family competition. If this was not Ning Haolan's order, then someone must have used his name to retrieve the soul. The reason she did not suspect that Ning Duan had sent someone to retrieve the forgotten soul was because she believed that Ning Duan did not have such great authority. After waiting for a long time, the guard returned by himself. "Young master, Ning Wen is missing." The guard reported the truth, but he was extremely depressed in his heart. How could he have encountered such a thing? He hoped that the young master would not blame him. "What do you mean by gone?" Ning Haolan frowned and asked in confusion. "This subordinate has searched the entire land garden, but there is no trace of Ning Wen." The guard said honestly, "Young master has arranged for Ning Wen to handle some matters?" The third elder couldn't help but ask. "No, you're still looking for it. We must find him." Ning Haolan ordered the guard. "Yes." The guard responded, but he was depressed in his heart. After the guard turned around and left, third elder looked at Leng Ruoxue and Ning Haolan and said, "Young lady Leng, young master, let Ning Shan and Ning Duan withdraw first. Let's not delay the rest of the competition." "Yes." The two of them nodded. Then Ning Haolan summoned 2 guards and carried Ning Shan away. Before the matter was cleared up, he ordered for Ning Duan to be kept under guard. After carrying Ning Shan to the guest room, Ning Hai quickly ran in and stayed by his brother's bed, not leaving. Seeing this, Leng Ruoxue's beautiful eyes turned towards Ning Haolan and she spoke indifferently. "How does young master Ning plan to deal with this matter?" "Naturally, I will report it to the public." "Does Miss Leng believe that I didn't send anyone to retrieve the forgotten soul?" Ning Haolan couldn't help but ask. "It doesn't matter if I believe it or not. However, we can't just let the matter of Ning Shan go like this." Leng Ruoxue said coldly as a killing intent flashed across her eyes. "I will give Ning Shan justice." Ning Haolan sighed. "I hope so," Leng Ruoxue nodded. Actually, she did not care if Ning Haolan could really seek justice for Ning Shan. Even if Ning Haolan wanted to protect someone, she was not afraid because she had her godfather. "Don't worry. Haolan is a man of his word." At this moment, Cheng Xian jumped out from who knows where and promised. "I'm his good friend, Cheng Xian." Without waiting for Leng Ruoxue to ask, he introduced himself in a familiar manner. "Leng Ruoxue." Leng Ruoxue looked at the handsome man who seemed to be very friendly with her. A few drops of cold sweat dripped down her forehead, and she was speechless. This man was exceptionally handsome, and his looks were no less than her brother's. However, she could not quite accept his friendly personality, and he kept winking at her. If he was not Ning Haolan's friend, she would not have been so kind to him. "I know you're Haolan's great-aunt." Cheng Xian had touched a sore spot. Leng Ruoxue and Ning Haolan were both speechless after he finished speaking. "Great-aunt? She doesn't want to be some grand-aunt." Leng Ruoxue could not help but mutter to herself. She was unusually repulsed by this form of address in her heart. However, Ning Haolan's mental fortitude was clearly above hers. Other than feeling a little awkward, he did not have any other thoughts. She's the goddaughter of the Ning family's ancestor. Her seniority is there for all to see. So even if you don't want to be a great-aunt, you can tea. As if he knew what Leng Ruoxue was thinking, Cheng Xian laughed evilly. "I only acknowledge him as my godfather. The rest of the Ning family has nothing to do with me, so there's no need to be particular about this." Leng Ruoxue said calmly. She could tell that this Cheng Xian was just waiting to make a fool of himself. However, How could she let him do as he wished? At that moment, the guards who were sent to look for Ningwen returned and diverted their attention. Young master, Ningwen is not in the main residence. I heard from the guards that he left the main city late last night. The guard reported. Chapter 1532. Refining the Antidote 3. Ning Haolan's heart began to burn with anger at the guard's words. He knew that Ningwen was most likely involved in this matter, but why would Ningwen use his name to retrieve the soul? Could it be that someone in the clan was forcing him? And who would have the guts to force his attendant to do such a thing? He really didn't want to live anymore. It seems that young Master Ning's attendant has fled for fear of punishment. After Lung Ruoxue heard the guard's words, she spoke indifferently. Don't worry, Miss Lung. I'll send someone to find Ningwen. Ning Haolan consoled. What about Ning Shan? And how will Ning Duan be dealt with? Lung Ruoxue did not care about Ningwen's whereabouts, but she could not let Ning Shan lie on the bed like this. Miss Lung, there's no antidote for the soul-forgetting pill. As for Ning Duan, I can only send people to keep an eye on him before the matter is investigated. However, I can't disqualify him from the competition. Ning Haolan said with some difficulty. Ning Duan's senior was an elder in the clan, so unless there was sufficient evidence, he could not disqualify Ning Duan from the competition, nor could he punish him. I understand. What about Ning Shan? Even though Lung Ruoxue was a little disappointed by Ning Haolan's words, she knew very well what he was thinking. He was thinking that there was not enough evidence. Hence, it would be difficult to deal with Ning Duan. She could put Ning Duan aside for now, but she could not do the same to Ning Shan. Therefore, she needed an explanation from Ning Haolan. Otherwise, she would have to look for her godfather, Ning Shan. The family will send people to take care of him in the future. With me around, I won't let anyone bully him. Ning Haolan said after some thought. He knew that Lung Ruoxue might not be satisfied with what he had said, but he had no better idea because there was no antidote for the forgotten soul. He has hands and feet. He doesn't need anyone to take care of him. Lung Ruoxue said, slightly annoyed. Miss Lung, there is no antidote for the soul-forgetting pill. Moreover, after taking the soul-forgetting pill, it will turn a normal person into a fool. So, it will be very difficult for him to leave people's side in the future. Ning Haolan explained patiently. I want the formula for soul-forgetting. Lung Ruoxue said coldly. Even though Ning Haolan had said that there was no antidote for the forgotten soul, she still wanted to try and see if she could concoct an antidote. She did not want Ning Shan to turn into an idiot, and did not believe that there was no antidote. After all, everything had its counter. The lack of an antidote could only mean that it had not been concocted yet, but it did not mean that it did not exist. The formula for soul-forgetting is a secret of the Ning family. We won't give it to anyone. Ning Haolan said helplessly. Not to anyone. Lung Ruoxue repeated. Then, she walked to Ning Hai's side and whispered a few words into his ear before leaving the guest room. After Lung Ruoxue left, Cheng Xian looked at Ning Haolan curiously and asked, Guess what she said to Ning Shan's brother? Why are you so gossipy? Ning Haolan rolled his eyes at Cheng Xian and said unhappily. Actually, he didn't need to guess to know that Lung Ruoxue had probably consoled Ning Hai, and was now looking for the old ancestor. Hee. I'm just curious. Cheng Xian didn't think much of it, and said with a smile. Curiosity killed the cat. Just mind your own business, the Ning family's joke isn't that good. Ning Haolan warned. What, could it be that you want to silence me? Cheng Xian's handsome face was full of provocation, not taking Ning Haolan's words seriously at all. It's hard to say. Ning Haolan left the guest room as well. Hey, wait for me please. Seeing Ning Haolan leave, Cheng Xian quickly chased after him. On the way back to the competition grounds, Cheng Xian pestered Ning Haolan again. Something happened in the first match. How can you still be in the mood to go back and watch the game? I think you should quickly find the person who framed you and prove your innocence. Didn't I already send people to look for him? If I can't find Ningwen, there's no point in me worrying. Besides, I'm not the one who asked Ningwen to retrieve the forgotten soul. Ning Haolan's expression was nonchalant. What's the point of saying that you didn't ask Ningwen to get it? If someone really wants to take advantage of this matter, I'm afraid you won't be able to explain yourself even if you have 100 mouths. Let's see what you can do then. Cheng Xian said gloomily. Sigh. Was this considered as the eunuch being anxious when the emperor was not? Compared to the person in question, he seemed a little unsettled. There are so many clansmen in the Ning family, not all of them are blind. Besides, there's still the old forefather. What am I afraid of? Let's go. Let's continue watching the match. If there's another one who poisoned it, we'll deal with them as well. Ning Haolan said with a smile. You wish. One is already enough to give you a headache. If there's another one, the Ning family will be in chaos. Cheng Xian said with a look of disdain. After he finished speaking, the two of them walked into the arena. Even after the competition had ended, they did not see Lung Ruoxue. Land Garden. Late at night 3 days later, Cheng Xian sat on a stone chair in the courtyard, counting the stars in the sky out of boredom. He would sigh at the calm Ning Haolan from time to time, but after the nth time, the latter finally spoke up. You've been sighing the entire night. What do you want? Ning Haolan was a little speechless. Actually, he knew very well why Cheng Xian was sighing, but he didn't really want to respond to him, so he could only play dumb. Lung Ruoxue is missing, the competition is suspended, and Ningwen is still missing. Are we just going to sit here and do nothing? Cheng Xian said gloomily. He had thought that he would be able to watch a good show, but who knew that Lung Ruoxue had not appeared again after she left that day. There was no progress in the poisoning incident either. Furthermore, the Ning family's old ancestor had ordered a temporary suspension of the competition. He really did not know what that old man was up to. He was so curious that it was as if a cat lived in his heart, scratching his heart and liver every day. What else do you want to do if you don't stay? Ning Haolan asked with a faint smile. Although the old ancestor did not ask about the poisoning incident, he had ordered the competition to be suspended. The meaning behind it was self-evident. He knew very well that this was all because of Lung Ruoxue. He didn't expect her to have such a position in the old ancestor's heart. He was a little jealous. Go and test your old ancestor's words. Let's see what he's going to do. When will the competition resume? Cheng Xian suggested, but his words caught Ning Haolan's attention. Young Master Cheng, this seems to be my family's competition, right? We're not in a hurry, so why are you? What was the saying again? Oh, that's right. Don't be a busybody. Do you want to be a dog? Ning Haolan could not help but tease. If you're really too bored, I can send a message to your ancestor and tell him that you're at my house. How is it? Ning Haolan suggested. You dare. If you dare to betray me, I will not let you off. Cheng Xian's expression changed as he glared at Ning Haolan. Then how long do you plan to hide? Ning Haolan raised an eyebrow. The main reason why Cheng Xian had returned to the Ning family with him was to avoid the pursuit of the old ancestor of the Cheng family. That old man had nothing better to do, so he had ideas about the marriage of his junior. Cheng Xian had been so scared that he didn't even dare to return home. Chapter 1533. Refining the antidote for, he'll go back when he changes his mind. You're not allowed to sell me out. Cheng Xian warned. But I think it's more interesting to betray you. Ning Haolan's face was full of regret. Have you forgotten our friendship? If you betray me, I will definitely drag you down with me. Cheng Xian made up his mind and said ruthlessly. Are you threatening me? Ning Haolan was speechless. Cheng Xian nodded his head heavily, a smug smile still on his face. Little Lan Lan, I think we're all in the same boat. So you can't do anything that would harm others and not benefit yourself. Cheng Xian hugged Ning Haolan's arm and spoke in a coquettish tone. I'll consider it. Ning Haolan said indifferently. There's no need to think about it. If you dare to betray me, I'll definitely reveal our relationship. Cheng Xian said with a smile. What's our relationship? Ning Haolan was confused, and his handsome face was full of question marks. We're very close. Cheng Xian's smile was ambiguous. Don't talk nonsense. Cheng Xian's words made Ning Haolan jump 3 times, and he broke out in a cold sweat. "I'm going to see the ancestor," Ning Haolan said, then disappeared. "Don't forget to get some information. I'll be waiting for you," Cheng Xian shouted into the air. The servant beside him looked at his young master with sympathy. "Poor young master. Your love life will be very bumpy, look." He had scared young master Ning away. Ning Haolan heard Cheng Xian's words, but he could only pretend that he didn't hear them. After all, it wasn't that easy to get information from the old master. If they angered the old master, the entire Ning family would be in deep trouble. After they arrived at the forbidden grounds in the back mountain, Ning Haolan made his way slowly to the old Grand Madame's courtyard after reporting his arrival. At this time, the master of the Ning family and the first elder were sitting in the courtyard and drinking tea. When he saw Ning Haolan, Master Ning's eyes twitched and he asked indifferently, "What are you doing here? Is there something important?" "I'm only here to see the ancestor," Ning Haolan said. "Now that you've seen it, you can go back," the master of the Ning family said coldly. Was he driving her away just like that? Ning Haolan thought to himself gloomily. The old master doesn't want me anymore now that he has a new lover? This was a blatant case of liking the new over the old. Why was his life so bitter? He hadn't seen the old ancestor for a few days, and he didn't let him sit down even once before he was driven away. Haolan's here to see you, so you should at least let him sit for a while. First Elder tried to smooth things over when he saw the depressed Ning Haolan. Hearing First Elder speak up for him, Ning Haolan was so touched that he was about to cry. First Elder was so understanding. The old ancestor had a heart of stone. What's there to sit on? I'm annoyed, the master of the Ning family said unhappily. He had been annoyed these days because his precious goddaughter had actually given him a hard time. Therefore, he was in a very bad mood, and these descendants of the Ning family just happened to become the target of his venting. If old forefather has any troubles, you can tell Haolan. Who knows, Haolan might be able to help you, Ning Haolan said carefully. People always said that a woman's heart was as hard as the sea. In his opinion, the old ancestor's heart was the true needle at the bottom of the sea. The low pressure in the Ning family these few days had made many people breathless. Solve my worries? These unfilial descendants of the Ning family will be lucky if they don't anger me to death, the master of the Ning family said angrily. Ancestor. Anger is harmful to the body, Ning Haolan said softly. Actually, he knew that the old ancestor was angry because someone had poisoned him during the family competition. However, they had yet to find the key witness, Ningwen, so he had no way of finding the real mastermind behind Ningwen. You don't have to tell me that. Go and do your business, the master of the Ning family urged. Yes, ancestor. I'll take my leave first, Ning Haolan said helplessly, then turned to leave. After Ning Haolan left, the Grand Elder looked at the head of the Ning family disapprovingly. Why are you venting your anger on that child, Haolan? This matter has nothing to do with him. How could it not have anything to do with him? Ningwen is his attendant. If it wasn't for me, those elders would have eaten him. It just so happens that some people can't find any evidence against him, the master of the Ning family said, exasperated at Ningwen's failure to live up to his expectations. Although the poisoning incident had infuriated him, he was even angrier at the fact that the heir he had set his eyes on had been so careless, allowing someone to take advantage of the situation. If Ningwen could not be found, and someone continued to press on with the matter, then Haolan would definitely be in a very passive position. The prestige that he had painstakingly built up among the family members would also fall. He had nurtured Haolan for so many years, and this was not something he wanted to see. It's useless to be angry now that things have come to this. The first elder consoled him and then changed the topic. I don't know if Shui or can refine the antidote. I'm really looking forward to it. At the mention of Lung Ruoxue, the master of the Ning family, who was burning with anger, immediately became listless. Actually, there was another reason for his anger, and it was Lung Ruoxue. Although Shui had never complained to him about Ning Shan's injury, he knew that Shui was angry. Now that Shui's entire mind was focused on refining the antidote for the soul-forgetting pill, she had not found time to settle the score with the Ning family yet. After Lung Ruoxua asked him for the formula for soul forgetting and some herbs, she had been hiding in her room and had not come out. He wondered how she was doing now. He was very uneasy. If Shui did not refine the antidote for soul forgetting, some people in the Ning family would be in deep trouble. Wu, please don't vent your anger on him. As Master Ning's mind was running wild, Lung Ruoxua had already entered the purple bamboo room in the bracelet and was trying to concoct the antidote for the soul-forgetting pill. In the alchemy room of the purple bamboo house, Lung Ruoxua sat on the futon and concocted the forgotten soul according to the formula. Then, she followed the medicinal herbs on the formula and chose the herbs that were compatible with and countered each other. She then carried out countless experiments. There were a total of 58 medicinal herbs in the formula of the forgotten soul. Except for the main herb, the forgotten soul grass, only a few of the other medicinal herbs were relatively precious. Most of them were ordinary medicinal herbs. However, even ordinary medicinal herbs had medicinal herbs that were compatible with and countered each other. Therefore, just matching these medicinal herbs took her nearly a day's time. After she found all the medicinal herbs, she had to experiment again and again according to the proportion of medicinal herbs. Lung Ruoxua placed piles and piles of herbs into the pill furnace seriously. She watched as they went through the process of melting, purification, pill condensation and the final tempering. Even though the first few steps were very successful, all her efforts were wasted at the last step of forming the pill. She could not help but feel a little vexed. However, she did not feel relieved because she knew very well that Ning Shan was still waiting for the antidote. Therefore, she had to make the pill. Chapter 1534. Medicine Testing 1. There were only two reasons why the pill couldn't be formed. Either the proportion of medicinal materials was wrong, or the medicinal materials used to refine the pill were wrong, which needed to be tested slowly. After countless trials and countless failures, Lung Ruoxua finally succeeded in refining a cauldron of pills. The pills were only the size of soybeans and were light green in color. There was a layer of faint flowing light on top of them, making them look very beautiful. However, she could not be sure that this was the antidote to the soul forgetfulness. Therefore, she felt that she needed someone to test the pills. As for the person to test the pills, she also had one in her heart. At the thought of this, she changed her mind and left the bracelet. The moment Lung Ruoxua stepped out of the room, Grape and Lotus, who were guarding the door, immediately came up to her and asked nervously, "Miss, has the antidote been made?" The two of them were also very concerned about Ning Shan's injuries. In addition, they had a good relationship with Ning Hai, so they naturally did not wish for anything to happen to Ning Shan. "I've made one, but I don't know if it'll work. I need to find someone to test it," Lung Ruoxua said straightforwardly. "Miss, I'll try." Grape thought for a while and said, "You? No. I have someone else in mind." Although she did not know why Grape wanted to test the medicine for Ning Shan, she could not let her maidservant do such a thing. She had already thought of a candidate in her heart. "Arg. Who are you looking for, miss?" Grape was confused. She did not think that anyone would be willing to try this medicine. It would be a serious matter if they really became stupid. "Ning Duan." Lung Ruoxua's red lips parted slightly as she uttered a name. I don't think he's willing to be a medicine tester, right?" Grape was stunned and could not help but ask. "This is not up to him." Lung Ruoxua laughed coldly. She didn't care if Ning Duan was willing or not. However, if Ning Duan was really not willing, she could only use force. "Ehe. Miss, what do you plan to do?" After hearing Lung Ruoxua's words, Grape's beautiful face was filled with excitement. "If he's not willing, then we'll use force. Although he's a deity, with the two of you here, it's not like we can't deal with a Ningduan." Lung Ruoxua laughed evilly. "Don't worry, miss. It's best if he's willing, but if he's not, we'll beat him until he's willing." Grape promised with a serious face, while Lotus Seed kept nodding. "Then let's go find Ning Haolan first," Lung Ruoxua said with a smile. "Why are you looking for him?" Grape was a little puzzled. "Of course we're going to let him take us to Ningduan. Otherwise, how would we know where he is?" Lung Ruoxue gave Grape a "you've become stupid" look. Miss. Then what are we waiting for? Let's go. Grape said, a little eager. And Lung Ruoxue nodded and left the courtyard with the grapes and lotus seeds. Although she lived in the forbidden area behind the mountain, she did not live in the same courtyard as her godfather. Therefore, the master of the Ning family and the first elder did not know that she had already left the room. Before she could prove that she had refined the antidote for the soul-forgetting pill, she did not intend to tell her godfather and the first elder about it. When she reached the entrance of the forbidden area, Lung Ruoxue met the captain of the Imperial Guard she had met when she sneaked into the forbidden area. When the captain saw her, he actually greeted her very warmly. "Miss Lung, are you going out?" The guard captain asked with a fawning look. I'm going to see your young master. Do you know where he lives?" Lung Ruoxue asked after seeing the captain. "The young master lives in the Lanyuan. I'll take you there." The captain of the guards was very enthusiastic. "Would it be too much trouble for you?" Lung Ruoxue pretended to hesitate. "I want Miss Lung, please follow me." After the captain finished speaking, he led the way while Lung Ruoxue and the other two followed behind him. After making a few turns, Lung Ruoxue followed the captain's lead and arrived at a quiet courtyard. She saw the two large words "Land Garden" on the door and knew that this should be Ning Haolan's residence. "Miss Lung, this is the young master's residence. I won't be accompanying you in," the guard captain said. "Yes, they'll have to trouble you." After Lung Ruoxue finished speaking, she took out a small jade bottle from her bracelet and passed it to the guard leader. There were 3 healing pills in it, and they were of a high grade. It could be considered as her gift of thanks. "Miss Lung is too polite. How can I take your things?" the captain of the guard said, a little embarrassed. Although he had the intention of currying favor by leading the way for Lung Ruoxue, he did not expect that Lung Ruoxue would reward him. This made him not know what to do. "Take it. It's just a few healing pills I made myself. They're not worth much." Lung Ruoxue chuckled. "Thank you, Miss Lung." When he heard that it was not worth much, the captain of the royal guards accepted it with a smile. He watched Lung Ruoxue's back until she could no longer be seen. After that, he opened the jade bottle and took a look. His eyes instantly widened. Oh my God! What was this? Were they all refined by Miss Lung herself? He was dumbfounded. Then he quickly put the jade bottle into his storage ring and left. Lung Ruoxue and the other two walked into Land Garden. As they walked, they looked around. Land Garden did not stand out in the Grand Lung family's main residence. However, it was rather quiet and elegant. Furthermore, Land Garden was not very big. After walking for a while, they arrived at the main courtyard. At this time, Cheng Xian and Ning Haolan were drinking under the moonlight. "Your great aunt is here." Cheng Xian looked at the depressed Ning Haolan and said. His seat was facing the entrance of the courtyard, so he saw Lung Ruoxue and her 2 maidservants with a single glance. "What great aunt?" Ning Haolan was a little stunned as he asked in a daze. At this moment, his heart was already filled with depression, so he couldn't care less about the others. "Lung Ruoxue is here." Cheng Xian helplessly reminded her softly. As soon as he finished speaking, Lung Ruoxue had already walked in front of them. Lung Ruoxue sat down on an empty stone chair and stared at the 2 of them with her beautiful eyes, causing Cheng Xian's hair to stand on end. "That great aunt, what brings you here? I heard that you're studying soul forgetting?" Cheng Xian asked with a face full of question marks. There's something I'd like to ask young Master Ning for help with." Lung Ruoxue ignored the word great aunt and smiled calmly. "Great aunt, if there's anything, just say it. Haolan will definitely do anything for you." Cheng Xian interrupted before Ning Haolan had a chance to speak. "You can represent him?" Lung Ruoxue found it a little funny. This Cheng Xian was really not the usual kind of person who would get close to others. "I can." He had to. "Who are we to you?" Cheng Xian said smugly. "So he can also represent you?" Lung Ruoxue was very curious. We don't distinguish between each other," Cheng Xian said with a smile. From his tone, he seemed to be quite self-deprecating. Chapter 1535, Medicine Testing 2. What's the matter? The depressed Ning Haolan asked. I would like to borrow Ning Duan from young Master Ning. Leng Ruoxue laughed evilly. Why are you lending him? Cheng Xian was very curious, and he kept blinking his big black eyes to act cute. Medicine testing. Leng Ruoxue did not hide anything. He's a direct descendant of the Ning family. Ning Haolan could not help but remind her. I know. Leng Ruoxue nodded. Then why did you ask him to test the medicine? If the Ning family's elders find out, it will be troublesome. Ning Haolan said, feeling a little troubled. He had only kept Ning Duan under guard, but he had already incurred the dissatisfaction of some of the clan members. If he handed Ning Duan over to Leng Ruoxue to test the medicine, he did not dare to imagine what the elders of Ning Duan's line would do. I'm not afraid of trouble. Leng Ruoxue did not think much of it. In any case, she had already made up her mind to use Ning Duan to test the medicine. Who asked him to harm Ning Shan? Although Ning Duan was not the main culprit, his crime was unforgivable. Great Aunt Haolan is already under a lot of pressure from keeping Ning Duan under guard. If he hands Ning Duan over to you to test medicine, those elders will definitely find trouble with him. Cheng Xian could not help but ask. As Ning Haolan's good friend and someone who lived in the garden, he knew very well what kind of pressure Ning Haolan was under. Although he wanted to watch a good show and did not care who Leng Ruoxue used to test the medicine, he had to consider his good friend's feelings. The people of the Ning family were not easy to get along with. Those people who were envious of the noble status might stir up trouble and make a big fuss behind the scenes. If you don't hand Ning Duan over to me, will some people in the Ning family let him go? Leng Ruoxue sneered. Then she turned to Ning Haolan and said, If I'm not wrong, the Ning family hasn't been peaceful these days, right? It was clearly your attendant who took the forgotten soul, so you should also be a suspect. However, you only keep Ning Duan in custody and keep yourself out of the world. Will the people of the Ning family let you go? Even if you're right, I can't give Ning Duan to you to test medicine. After all, Ning Duan was a direct descendant of the Ning family. Although he hated Ning Duan for being so disappointing, he was not very willing to let Leng Ruoxue test Ning Duan's medicine. Ning Duan was a member of the Ning family after all. If he made a mistake, the Ning family would naturally punish him. However, if he handed Ning Duan over to Leng Ruoxue, he felt that the nature of the matter would change. To put it bluntly, he still cared about his family. No matter how bad his family members were, they were still part of the family. You're really pedantic. If I were you, I'd be more than happy to hand over Ning Duan and take advantage of this matter to see the true colors of some people. You're going to be the patriarch in the future, so you have to clear the obstacles in front of you yourself. Otherwise, how can you convince the masses? Leng Ruoxue tried to convince him. Ning Haolan was the one chosen by her godfather after all. He must have his own special abilities. Hence, for the sake of her godfather, she would give him a hand. However, this would have to depend on Ning Haolan's own decision. She could not possibly push the duck onto the rack. After hearing Leng Ruoxue's words, Ning Haolan could not help but fall into deep thought. He knew that Leng Ruoxue was right. There were indeed people in the family who wanted to cause trouble for him. However, because of old ancestors' existence, those people did not dare to cause too much trouble. However, if they did this from time to time, it would be unbearable. Moreover, old ancestor might not help him solve these problems. Most of the time, he would have to rely on himself. After all, this was a good opportunity to prove his ability. The old grandmadam would definitely be happy to see this happen. Therefore, it could not be denied that Leng Ruoxue's words had moved his heart. However, if the news of Ning Duan being handed over to Leng Ruoxue to test the medicine were to spread out, he would definitely be made difficult by his clan. Hence, before he could think of a good countermeasure, he did not dare to let Leng Ruoxue off. Can you tell me what medicine I'm using Ning Duan to test? Will his life be in danger? Ning Haolan asked after some thought. I'm going to use him to test the soul-forgetting technique. There won't be any danger to my life. Leng Ruoxue said with a smile. Her words caused Cheng Xian's mouth to drop open in shock, unable to speak for a long time. Ning Haolan was clearly frightened by Lung Ruoxia's words as well, breaking out in a cold sweat. Of course, he knew that the soul-forgetting pill was not life-threatening, but the pill would turn people into fools. On top of that, there was no antidote, so he really could not imagine how he would explain to his clan if Ning Duan became a fool. All of a sudden, he had a flash of inspiration. He could not believe the possibility that he had just thought of. Could it be that Lung Ruoxia had concocted the antidote? That's impossible, right? How many days had it only been? One had to know that back then, their Ning family's grand elder had used several years to develop the forgotten soul. And so far, the great elder had not been able to refine the antidote for the soul forget. Are you trying to turn him into an idiot? After a long time, Cheng Xian, who had come back to his senses, could not help but ask. No wonder people often said that a woman's heart was the most poisonous. Becoming a fool was even more unbearable than killing the other party directly. After all, who would be willing to become a fool? No. The purpose of feeding him the soul-forgetting pill was to test if the antidote I made was effective. Lung Ruoxia said calmly. Arg. You've refined the antidote to the soul-forgetting pill? Cheng Xian's eyes widened once again, and he said in disbelief, It's only been a few days. She had managed to create it. How could she let him live? I don't know if it's the antidote to the soul-forgetting pill. That's why I wanted to try it. Lung Ruoxia didn't dare to be too confident. It only took 3 days. If you can really refine the antidote for the soul-forgetting pill, and let the great elder know, he will definitely be depressed. Ning Haolan said, speechless. As I said, I don't know if the pill I made can cure the forgotten soul, but I have to try. However, even if the pill this time can't cure it, it'll still make an antidote for it. Lung Ruoxia said in a serious tone. Since you can't be sure that what you've made is the antidote to soul forgetting, why must you use Ning Duanping to test it? Ning Haolan was confused. Young Master Ning, I always thought you were very smart. It seems that I was wrong. Lung Ruoxia did not answer Ning Haolan's question directly. Instead, she replied with a look of regret. Her words made Ning Haolan feel extremely embarrassed. Cheng Xian, who was beside him, started to chuckle without holding back. Ning Haolan glared at Cheng Xian, who had picked up a joke, and said seriously, I can hand Ning Duan over to you, but I want to watch the process of your medicine testing. I also want to see it. Cheng Xian said, not willing to be outdone. No problem, but you'd better arrange a quiet place for me, in case his howling is too loud and it attracts people to watch. Lung Ruoxia reminded. Yes. Ning Haolan nodded. Great aunt. When do you plan to test the medicine for Ning Duan? Cheng Xian was a little excited. Now, Lung Ruoxia said. Time was money and couldn't be delayed. Haolan, hurry up and go take Ning Duan. Cheng Xian urged. He was even more anxious than Lung Ruoxia. Chapter 1536. Medicine Testing 3. Ning Haolan resignedly went to bring Ning Duan out. He then brought Lung Ruoxia and the others to a mountain on the outskirts of the Ning family's main city. The mountain was not large, and one could see the end of it with a single glance. However, there was a cave at the foot of the mountain that was half the size of a room. The cave was very refreshing and well hidden, which met Lung Ruoxia's requirements. Standing outside the cave, Lung Ruoxia nodded in satisfaction. This place is not bad. It's quite suitable for testing medicine. Hehe. Great aunt. Haolan and I used to come here when we were young. Other than the two of us, no one else knows about this place. Cheng Xian said as if he was presenting a treasure. Oh. Lung Ruoxia replied softly and walked into the cave. Ning Haolan and Cheng Xian followed behind, throwing Ning Duan to the ground. Ning Duan had already been knocked unconscious by Ning Haolan. When he slowly woke up and saw where he was, his heart skipped a beat. He stared warily at the person in front of him like a little wife. What do you want? I'm a direct descendant of the Lung family, and my great-grandfather is the 19th elder of the Lung family. Don't act rashly. Ning Duan was slightly afraid, and since he did not know what the other party would do to him, the fear in his heart deepened. Look at you. How can the Ning family have a direct descendant like you? Grape, who was extremely displeased with him, gave him a vicious kick and said with a look of disdain, You dare to kick me? You don't want to live anymore." Ning Duan had never been taught a lesson by a woman in his entire life. In addition, he was a little chauvinistic and felt that being beaten up by a woman was not something to be proud of. Therefore, Grape's kick had angered him and made him explode immediately. "So what if I kicked you? I want to beat you up." After Grape finished speaking, she ignored Ning Haolan and Cheng Xian's presence and immediately swung her fists at Ning Duan's handsome face. At the side, Lotus Seed did not want to be left behind and also began to punch and kick Ning Duan. Ning Haolan and Cheng Xian were dumbfounded when they saw Lung Ruoxia's two maidservants transform into tigresses. These two women were so fierce. It was truly too terrifying. However, looking at the calm Lung Ruoxia, the two of them slowly calmed down. However, the action of wiping away their cold sweat revealed the nervousness in their hearts. You two barbarian." Ning Duan's cries of pain continued to ring out, but they were all ignored. After Grape and Lotus had enough of beating them up, they saw Ning Haolan and Cheng Xian's expressions and began to comfort them kindly. "Don't be afraid. We don't just beat people up, we're not beating people up," Grape said with a smile. "Yup. Besides, you're already God Kings. Even if we, two puny gods, wanted to beat you up, we couldn't. So we can only bully people like him," Lotus Seed said with some regret. Her words made Cheng Xian roll his eyes continuously, and he couldn't help but think in his heart, these two women have violent tendencies. If he could beat them up, what was wrong with beating them up as well? The more he thought about it, the more he felt that it was possible. Therefore, he subconsciously moved away from the Grapes and Lotus Seed, keeping a certain distance from them before he felt relieved. "Quickly test the medicine for him." Ning Haolan sighed as he spoke to Lung Ruoxia. He chose to ignore the two maidservants because he did not know how to answer them. Lung Ruoxia suppressed the laughter in her heart and nodded. Then, she took out the forgotten soul and handed it to the Grapes, signaling for her to serve it to Ning. What did you feed me? I don't want to eat it." Ning Duan, who was covered in wounds from the beating, was being held by Grape like a little chick. When he saw the pill in Grape's hand, a thread of fear rose from the bottom of his heart, and his resistance grew even stronger. "You better behave yourself." Seeing that Ning Duan was struggling, Grape angrily punched him on the head. Ning Duan immediately felt dizzy, but he still struggled. Seeing this, Lotus Seed stepped forward and held Ning Duan firmly in her hands. This way, Grape's hands were free. She roughly pinched Ning Duan's chin and pried his mouth open. She then threw the pill that Lung Ruoxia had given her into his mouth, and dusted her hands before standing to the side. Seeing that the Grapes had been taken care of, Lotus Seed released Ning Duan's grip and stood to the side. As soon as Ning Duan regained his freedom, he reached his hand into his throat and tried to pull the pill out. However, the pill melted as soon as it reached his mouth. Other than vomiting a few mouthfuls of saliva, there was no trace of the pill. "That damned woman. What did you give me to eat?" Ning Duan was very afraid, but he, who had always been arrogant, still couldn't help but shout. "What you ate was soul forgetfulness." Lung Ruoxia chuckled. "Soul forgetting? This was impossible. You're lying to me." Ning Duan did not believe Lung Ruoxia's words. It was not like he had not seen the forgotten soul before. It was in powder form and was colorless and transparent. However, what he had just eaten was clearly a pill. Thus, he was certain that Lung Ruoxia was lying to him. "What do you have that's worth me lying to you about?" Lung Ruoxia said, amused. "I am a direct descendant of the Ning family." Ning Duan stuttered. "So what? I know why you don't believe that it's soul forgetting. It's because it's different from what you've seen. In fact, I made it myself according to your Ning family's recipe." Lung Ruoxia explained with a faint smile. Her beautiful eyes were carefully observing Ning Duan's reaction. Right now, his forgotten soul had not acted up yet. Otherwise, how could his mind be so clear? You vicious woman, you actually fed me the forgotten soul. Our Ning family will never let you off." The annoyed and angry Ning Duan said viciously. However, he soon lost the chance to make a fuss because the soul forgetfulness poison had acted up. Arg. It hurts. Ning Duan lay on the ground in pain, rolling around. His face was like a color palette, alternating between blue and black, constantly changing. The blood in his body flowed in reverse, and the veins in his body swelled up, making him look extremely horrifying. Lung Ruoxue looked coldly at Ning Duan, who was rolling around on the ground in pain. She did not feel any sympathy for him because he had brought this upon himself. However, his current appearance was much scarier than Ning Shan's back then. At this time, the blood in his body was constantly flowing everywhere, but there was no channel to vent it. Therefore, the pain he suffered was definitely much greater than Ning Shan's. At that time, Ning Shan's eyes were injured, and the poisonous blood in his body flowed out through his eyes. In addition, she had given Ning Shan a healing pill, so the pain Ning Shan suffered was actually not much. However, even so, she didn't plan on immediately giving Ning Duan the antidote. She wanted Ning Duan to be in pain for a while, or it would be difficult to dispel the hatred in her heart. Ning Shan was such a cute child. Now that he had caused her to become an idiot, how could she possibly let Ning Duan live well? After instructing Grape and Lotus Seed to keep an eye on Ning Duan, she led Ning Haolan and Cheng Xian around the mountain. The mountain was small, and there wasn't much prey on it. After more than an hour, they only managed to hunt 2 rabbits. After that, the 3 of them returned to the cave. At this moment, the grapes had already started a fire. When they saw Lung Ruoxue and the other 2 return, they went up to them and took the initiative to clean up the rabbit. I don't think 2 rabbits are enough, right? Sitting by the fire, Cheng Xian looked at the fat rabbit that had been cleaned up. Don't tell me you guys didn't eat dinner. Lung Ruoxue raised her beautiful eyes and said, a little speechless. I did, but am hungry again after walking so far. Cheng Xian said matter-of-factly, his handsome face not showing the slightest bit of embarrassment. You'll get fat if you eat too much. Lung Ruoxue rolled her eyes at Cheng Xian, before she replied indifferently. I'm still growing, so I'm not afraid of getting fat. Cheng Xian didn't think so. You're not young anymore, are you? I'll look down on you for pretending to be young. Lung Ruoxue said honestly. Who said that? I'm still very young, okay? Cheng Xian said with an aggrieved expression. Then he could not help but ask curiously. Did Ning Duan faint? Why did you stop? No, I didn't. I blocked his mouth, it's too noisy. Grape said with a smirk. When do you plan to give him the antidote? Hearing Grape's words, Ning Haolan broke out in cold sweat as he asked Lung Ruoxue. Eat something and take a nap before we talk. Lung Ruoxue said lightly. Lung Ruoxue's words filled Ning Haolan and Cheng Xian's hearts with sympathy for Ning Duan. At the same time, they also made up their minds not to offend women in the future, or else they would end up in a terrible state. Miss, here, eat this. It's done. Grape handed over a rabbit leg. Lung Ruoxue took it and ate it slowly. After she was done, she took out her house and placed it on the empty ground. Ning Haolan and Cheng Xian were stunned for a moment when they saw the house in front of them, and it took them a long time to regain their senses. Great aunt! This house! Cheng Xian was so excited that he didn't know what to say. He was so jealous. Who would have thought that Lung Ruoxue would actually have such a spatial god tool? This was truly a case of comparing one with another, and it was truly infuriating. One had to know that even his ancestors did not have such a thing. It's a gift from the Armament Guild headquarters Grand Elder. Lung Ruoxue explained calmly. Since you have such a divine weapon, why do you still want me to find a place for you to test the medicine? Can't you just bring Ning Duan into your house? Ning Haolan asked in confusion. My house isn't a place that just anyone can enter. Lung Ruoxue said softly. Great aunt, bring me in for a tour. Cheng Xian said with an ingratiating expression, his clear eyes filled with anticipation. All right, he said. Lung Ruoxue nodded and brought him and Ning Haolan into the house. After entering, Cheng Xian was like a grandmother in the Grand View Garden. He looked around and touched everything, his eyes filled with curiosity. Ning Haolan was also surprised, but he was much calmer than Cheng Xian. You guys do as you please, I'm going to sleep. After Lung Ruoxue finished speaking, she left the 2 of them behind and returned to her room. Chapter 1537. Little brother, you're too unfriendly. 1. After Lung Ruoxua left, Cheng Xian still could not hide the excitement on his face. Just as he was about to continue with the tour, he suddenly heard a slightly mocking voice. Country bumpkin, you really have not seen the world. Cheng Xian was taken aback when he heard this. He turned to the source of the voice, a little annoyed. The voice was clearly directed at him, and Ning Haolon had heard it as well. However, he appeared extremely calm. After all, the other party had not specifically mentioned him. If he were to get angry over this, wouldn't it be as if he was trying to cover up his own tracks? Therefore, he naturally wouldn't touch this topic and continued to look around. At this moment, Cheng Xian's eyes had already caught sight of a huge black tiger, who was looking at him with a haughty expression and a pair of big eyes. The look in his eyes was full of contempt, which made him even more furious. Who are you talking about? Cheng Xian asked coldly. Whoever pays attention to me is the one I'm talking about, the Dark Tiger King said in an extremely infuriating manner. Its tail was still wagging nonstop, and it seemed to be having a lot of fun. Cheng Xian was so angry that he couldn't say anything. He couldn't help but turn to look at Ning Haolon, who had nothing to do with the situation. He suddenly felt that he was a little silly. No wonder that sly fox Ning Haolon didn't react at all. It seemed like he had long since guessed that he would encounter this situation. Sigh. How could he be so brainless? At the thought of this, he was prepared to ignore the big black tiger. For it to be able to live here, it must be related to Lung Ruoxua. It might even be her beastie. He would give Lung Ruoxua face and not be calculative with this damn tiger. However, even if he wanted to let it go, the Dark Tiger King had no intention of letting him go. This was because it was a little bored staying here. It was not easy for two strangers to come in, and their strength was comparable to its own. It had to play with them. It was because no one in this house was willing to fight with it. The Dark Tiger King was deliberately looking for trouble, so it naturally wouldn't let Cheng Xian off so easily. Country bumpkin, you've never seen such a divine weapon before, have you? The Dark Tiger King laughed evilly, his large eyes filled with provocation. Cheng Xian looked up at the sky after hearing the Dark Tiger King's words. He held himself back and ignored it. However, Ning Haolon spoke up. It's getting late, I'll go find a room to rest for a while. With that, Ning Haolon dusted off his butt and walked towards the side courtyard. Moreover, his speed was extremely fast. Before Cheng Xian and the Dark Tiger King could react, he had already disappeared. Seeing that Ning Haolon had left, Cheng Xian was about to leave as well. However, this time, the Dark Tiger King reacted quickly and blocked his way. It looked at him with a faint smile and said, "Little country bumpkin, you still haven't answered my question." The Dark Tiger King had an unforgiving look on its face, and its heart was beating even faster. Since he had let that guy go, he would not let this kid go no matter what. "I'm not familiar with you." Cheng Xian gritted his teeth and said hatefully, "What I'm trying to say is that I have nothing to say to you. If I can't tell that this black tiger is looking for trouble, then I've been eating for nothing all these years." Therefore, he decided to learn from Hao Lan and ignore this tiger who was looking for trouble. We'll be familiar after a chat. Now that the moon is dark and there's no one around, it's a good time to chat. Chat with this brother for a while. The Dark Tiger King grinned. "I'm going to sleep. I don't have time to chat with you." Cheng Xian had a headache. This damn tiger had just called him a baboon from a foreign land, and now it wanted to get close to him and chat with him. How could there be such a wonderful thing? If they were not in Lung Ruoxia's house, he would definitely have given this stinky tiger a good beating. "You're already a god king, so why are you sleeping?" The Dark Tiger King's face was filled with disdain. "I'll sleep on my own. What does it have to do with you? Besides, so what if you're a god king? Who said that god kings can't sleep?" Cheng Xian was a little angry. He felt that he was talking to Niu Tanxin. No, he was talking to a tiger. Moreover, he was a bored tiger who was looking for trouble and was unreasonable. "Little brother, you're so unfriendly." The Dark Tiger King was extremely aggrieved. It was as if Cheng Xian had said something he shouldn't have. Its large tiger eyes were actually staring at Cheng Xian with tears in them. "Little brother?" Hearing these three words, Chengxian almost jumped up in shock. Why did these 3 words sound so unpleasant to the ear? It would make him think of something, and these 3 words also provoked him. Damn it, don't call me little brother. Chengxian couldn't take it anymore and roared. Then what should I call you? A little sister? The Dark Tiger King's face was filled with confusion. Its large eyes scanned Chengxian's body like a searchlight, as if it was saying, "Are you not a man?" The Dark Tiger King's probing gaze made Chengxian feel uncomfortable. However, after thinking about it, he decided to bear with it. A strong dragon could not suppress a snake in its own territory. For Lung Ruoxia's sake, he did not want to be calculative with this damn tiger that he hated so much. Chengxian took advantage of this opening and strode over the Shadow Tiger King's massive body, heading in the direction Ning Haolon had just taken. Seeing this, the Shadow Tiger King naturally followed unwillingly. Chengxian found an empty guest room. After entering, he immediately closed the door to avoid being disturbed by uninvited guests while he was sleeping soundly. Before going to bed, Chengxian suddenly thought of that detestable tiger again. He thought to himself, who says that a divine king doesn't need to sleep? Although the higher one's cultivation level, the lower one's need for food and sleep, that doesn't mean that they don't have it. Moreover, even cultivators like them are no different from ordinary people at the beginning of cultivation. They need to eat and sleep. Once their cultivation level is high, this habit can't be forgotten easily. For example, their family's ancestor, he's already a divine venerable, but didn't he still eat and sleep? He thought about it for a while and soon fell asleep. However, in his half-awake state, a demonic voice suddenly drifted into his ears. There's a girl called Little Yen. Her fur is smooth and beautiful, her eyes are bright and watery, and her mouth is pink and attractive. I love you. I'm so patient with you. Little Yen. The Dark Tiger King was lying outside Chengxian's room, humming nonstop. Although it was tone-deaf, it was still singing about its love for its wife, which was quite touching. Unfortunately, when it reached Chengxian's ears, it was not the same. If you want to express your love for the person you like, you should sing it to the person you like. What's with singing a love song to a man who's sleeping soundly? Chengxian, who was on the bed, could only cover his ears with the blanket and ignore the demonic sound. He knew very well that this damn tiger was doing it on purpose, and once he responded, this tiger would probably go on and on. So he could only swallow his anger. The Dark Tiger King, who had been humming outside Chengxian's room for the entire night, stared at Chengxian's room door with a dejected expression. This brat had learned his lesson. He had actually held himself back from coming out. This made the Dark Tiger King feel a little dejected. The depressed Dark Tiger King thought about its miserable state of mind, and started to sing again. Chapter 1538. Little brother, you're too unfriendly too. A child with a mother is a treasure, but a child without a mother is a blade of grass. At this moment, Lung Ruoxia, who had just walked out of her room, heard the tone-deaf singing coming from afar. A few black lines could not help but slide down her forehead. She thought to herself, who is singing? And he even sang it so pitifully? Following the direction of the singing, Lung Ruoxia was surprised to find out that it was the Dark Tiger King. She didn't know what to say as she looked at the Dark Tiger King that was howling at the top of its lungs early in the morning. When the Dark Tiger King saw that Lung Ruoxia had arrived, it actually became embarrassed for once. However, it was fortunate that its fur was black, so it would not be easily discovered by others. Tiger King, what the hell are you doing? Lung Ruoxia's beautiful face was filled with question marks. I'm fine. I'm just practicing my gu. The Dark Tiger King quickly said. Practice your ass. It's been howling the whole night, and it doesn't want us to sleep well. Suddenly, the door to the room was opened. Chengxian, who obviously hadn't slept well, walked out of the room with a wave of resentment. After hearing Chengxian's words, Lung Ruoxia could not help but size up the Darkness Tiger King. Could it be that the Tiger King had been provoked by something? Otherwise, why would he lie in front of someone else's room and howl for an entire night? Quarreling with Yenner? She made wild guesses. I'm just reminiscing about the past. the Dark Tiger King said in a soft voice. It was obviously embarrassed. Back then, when it was pursuing Yen, they were also in the same room, so it couldn't help but sing. Yen'er also ignored it for the entire night, just like last night. I'm not Yen'er, why would you fall in love with me? Chengxian roared in anger. At this moment, he had changed his usual elegant and noble image and directly shouted at the top of his voice. Little girl, he's so fierce. Hearing Chengxian's roar, the Dark Tiger King acted like an aggrieved little wife and spoke to Lung Ruoxua pitifully. Lung Ruoxua looked at the man and the tiger, then wiped the cold sweat off her forehead. She decided to stay out of this world and not care about the dispute between the two of them. Let's talk it out. I'm going out. With that, Lung Ruoxua turned around and left irresponsibly. Wait for me. Seeing this, Chengxian quickly caught up to avoid being entangled by the tiger. Seeing Chengxian's expression of lingering fear, Lung Ruoxua could not help but burst out laughing. Her laughter caused Chengxian's face to darken. You still dare to laugh. You don't even care about your own beastie and let it bully the guest. Chengxian complained with a wronged expression. All it did was sing outside your room. This is considered bullying you? Lung Ruoxua feigned ignorance. It even called me a country bumpkin. Chengxian said through gritted teeth. Is he referring to your name? Lung Ruoxua asked. No, I didn't. Chengxian said gloomily. Then I'm not calling you, but if you want to make the connection, I can't do anything about it. Lung Ruoxua laughed evilly. All right. I'm just unlucky. Why would I fight with a tiger for no reason? Chengxian said unhappily. It's good that you know. It's just bored, so it wanted to have some fun. Lung Ruoxua understood. These days, the Dark Tiger King and the other beasts had been staying in the house. Although the spiritual energy here was not bad, they would get bored after staying for a long time. So you came to me for fun? Chengxian was furious. Looks like you're not as smart as Ning Haolan. Lung Ruoxua said with some sympathy. He's an old fox. Chengxian said through gritted teeth. The two of them talked as they walked. Not long after, they arrived at the garden where Ning Haolan was waiting for them. However, Chengxian did not give him a good look when he saw him. After bidding Lung Ruoxua farewell, he left the house. What was wrong with him? Did I provoke him? Ning Haolan's handsome face was filled with question marks when he saw Chengxian's expression. I'm fine. Let's go out too. Lung Ruoxua chuckled. It had been an entire night, and she wondered if Ning Duan had died from the pain. Yes. Ning Haolan nodded, and the two of them walked out of the house together. At this moment, the grapes and lotus seeds had already prepared breakfast, and Chengxian had already started eating without any reservations. Miss, let's eat. Grape beckoned. All right. Lung Ruoxua nodded and sat down. After breakfast, the group walked into the cave to see Ning Duan. Miss, is he an idiot? Grape looked at Ning Duan and asked. At this moment, Ning Duan's eyes were unfocused, and his mouth was half open, drooling from the corner of his mouth. When he saw them, he could only smile foolishly. His clothes were wrinkled, and the blood stains on them had dried up. It looked like he had suffered a lot last night. However, he deserved it. He's indeed silly. Lung Ruoxua said after observing for a while. It seemed like the soul forget had completely taken effect. At this thought, she took out a light green pill the size of a soybean from her bracelet and passed it to Grape. After Grape received it, he pried open Ning Duan's mouth and threw the pill in. How long will this antidote take effect? Ning Haolan could not help but ask when he saw Ning Duan eat the pill. He was not concerned about when Ning Duan would wake up, but whether the pill could cure the amnesia. If Lung Ruoxua could really refine the antidote for the amnesia, it would be a great contribution to the Ning family. He just did not know if Lung Ruoxua would be willing to give the prescription to the Ning family. About a day. We'll know if it's effective at this time tomorrow. Lung Ruoxua said calmly. Then I'll go back to the Ning family to take a look. If someone wants to see Ning Duan, I'll be able to block them. Ning Haolan said after some thought. And you can go back first. Lung Ruoxua nodded. I'll come back tonight. Chengxian, are you going back with me? Ning Haolan turned to look at Chengxian. "I'll stay here," Chengxian said after some hesitation. "All right, I'll go back and take a look myself." Ning Haolan turned around and left. After Ning Haolan left, Leng Ruoxue and the others took turns to stay in the cave to observe Ning Duan's reaction. After taking the pill, Ning Duan fell asleep very quietly and did not wake up until night fell. "Miss, will there be any problems if he keeps sleeping like this?" Grape asked worriedly. If Ning Duan fell into a deep sleep, wouldn't their efforts be in vain? "I'm fine. I don't think he'll be able to wake up for a while." Leng Ruoxue understood. As she had expected, Ning Duan had slept for an entire day. However, when Ning Duan woke up the next day, he still had a silly look on his face. Leng Ruoxue saw this and knew that she had failed to refine the antidote. You're tuning in to the Li Mei's Wuxia Whispers YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.